Chapter 42-34. Roar. You're courting death. Xian was infuriated by the black beetle and the star-blood crocodile's trick. The nearly 100 Immortal Realm old monsters behind him were generals that he had painstakingly nurtured or subdued. In the future, they would be the backbone of this desolate fragment void. Xian wasn't willing to easily deal with any of the Immortal Realm experts. Earth damage. But now, in the face of his attacks, the two beast commanders had actually avoided the tip of the spear and specifically targeted the generals behind him. They picked up soft persimmons and even tried to use this method to force Xian to submit so that they could take advantage of the opportunity when he turned around to save them to turn around and flee. This was absolutely intolerable. They were so vicious that he couldn't tolerate it. Xian roared angrily. Two formless, majestic forces blasted out of his mouth and met the two half-moonlight slashes that were coming at him. Although the two half-moonlight slashes were only 3,000 feet long, they were completely disproportionate to Xian's enormous body. Even if they hit his body, it would only leave a small wound. However, this green ox was at the 7th level of the Marquis Immortal Realm. In order to escape, it had used all of its power. Although the two half-moonlight slashes didn't look impressive, the energy it contained was terrifying. If there were no accidents, the slashes would definitely leave a deep wound on his body. It would be fine if he couldn't avoid them, but Xian had the ability to disperse them. There was no need for him to stupidly take them head-on. With his current strength as an undying emperor, even if he only shot out two majestic forces in a hurry, it was enough to disperse a level 7, undying level 7 being's energy slash at the same time. Xian's fist that was originally heading towards the front quietly changed its direction. It no longer smashed towards the stage 7 Azure Ox, nor did it target the black arachnid. Although the latter's bloodline ability was strange, after the ripple spread out, it had already temporarily sealed the space behind Xian within a radius of tens of thousands of kilometers. Even the hundreds of Immortal Realm old monsters seemed to be stuck in a swamp and could not get out at all, not to mention the 10 camps of captives behind them and the millions of battleships of survivors in the void. But all of this didn't matter. At most, it would only delay the progress of this battle. At least, it would cause no harm to the army behind Xian. Therefore, he didn't rush to attack the black bug. Instead, he changed his direction slightly and went straight for the star-blood crocodile that was swinging its giant tail and creating a terrifying shockwave. This guy was the real threat. Although this threat wasn't to Xian, killing his undying subordinates behind him was more unforgivable than attacking Xian directly. This guy had to be killed. Hong, long. Following Xian's punch, the incomparably terrifying invisible shockwave formed by the swinging of the star-blood crocodile's enormous tail was instantly dispersed. Even the large number of sharp barbs that were shot out from his huge crocodile tail amidst the invisible shockwave were turned into ashes in an instant. The explosion shook the sky, and a large part of the space collapsed again, but all of this wasn't the end. How could an emperor's punch only have this much power? In fact, the terrifying power of this punch had only been reduced by 30% after destroying the shockwave formed by the star-blood crocodile swinging its giant tail. In the blink of an eye, the remaining 70% of the majestic power directly blasted onto the body of the starry sky blood crocodile. No, this guy swung its giant tail and set off a terrifying shockwave like a hurricane. He turned around immediately. He originally thought that the star-violent ape in front of him would turn around to protect the close to 100 undying subordinates behind it. However, he obviously underestimated the strength of an emperor, and he didn't expect the star-violent ape to be so huge. The star-violent ape was so huge, and the energy and blood in its body were so majestic. At this moment, he saw that the star-violent ape didn't dodge or turn around to protect the more than 100 undying subordinates behind it. Instead, it used brute force to break through the attack. Without hesitation, it turned around and threw a punch at him. Moreover, the invisible shockwave that he had unleashed with all his strength collapsed at the first moment. The giant fist that was like a meteor was already rapidly approaching him. As his heart trembled, he raised his head and let out a roar filled with unwillingness and resentment. Huh! In the next moment, before the vicious roar from the starry sky blood crocodile's mouth could be heard, an earth-shattering explosion resounded. The meteor-like giant fist of the star-violent ape hit his body directly. Without any suspense, it destroyed this marquee, level, undying star blood crocodile into a mist of blood and flesh that spread out. Shio! A weak sound broke through the air. The star-violent ape waved its left hand, and an invisible shockwave swept up. In the blink of an eye, the bloody mist formed by the explosion of the star blood crocodile's body was absorbed into its body and sent into the Shunnone cauldron, where it began to condense the blood essence. At the same time, his figure suddenly turned around and took a large stride in the void, rushing towards the right side of the distance. This direction was the direction that the black bug with an unknown bloodline was escaping in. After all, the other party was also a marquee level undying, and its bloodline ability was the type that could form a powerful sealing effect on the void. It was obvious that its ability to escape was extraordinary. Yixian had only used less than 2 breaths of time to kill the starry blood crocodile with a single punch. However, this black arachnid, who had attacked at the same time as the starry blood crocodile and then turned around to flee, had actually fled tens of millions of kilometers away in such a short period of time. It was almost at the end of Yi Xian's line of sight. This ability to escape made even Yi Xian sigh. If he gave the other party a little more time, even if it was only a few minutes, it would be difficult to find him later. Unfortunately, he didn't manage to escape far in the end. The star blood crocodile was too weak and died with one punch, and the green bull didn't attack the subordinates behind Yixian, so he didn't feel too threatened and didn't want to pay attention to it for the time being. Therefore, the time that this black bug earned to escape was still not enough. It was just too short. You can't escape. A cold voice came out of its mouth. Before it finished speaking, the giant star-violent ape disappeared from its original spot. When it reappeared, it was already 20 million miles away. Chapter 42:35. Li, seeing Yi Xian chasing from behind, in the blink of an eye, he was already 1,000,000 miles away. With his huge body, this was definitely close combat distance. The black Zerg with an unknown bloodline let out a shrill shriek again. Its already fast body increased in speed in the blink of an eye, and a circle of seemingly solid ripples swept past behind it. This time, the black bug was obviously going all out. He was using all his strength. Against an emperor, he knew that his bloodline ability couldn't form an effective seal. Hence, as he howled, the ripple formed from his bloodline ability rippled out from behind him. In an instant, it formed a counterforce. It was a repulsive force. Unfortunately, even though the recoil had increased his speed greatly, to a space berserk ape with the strength of an emperor-level undying, all of this was just a trick. It wasn't something that could be considered elegant, and it didn't have much practical use. Have you been forced into a corner? You actually use such a move. As an official level undying, don't you think your current state is a little too unbearable? Against all this, Yixian could only laugh coldly. Before he even finished his words, his body flashed once more and vanished. At this moment, an extremely strong sense of life and death crisis rose from the bottom of the heart of this black insectoid with an unknown bloodline. He almost subconsciously stopped his body and suddenly paused in the void. At the same time, he let out a shrill and fearful plea. "Don't kill me. I surrender." Shio! Almost at the same time, Yi Xian's figure suddenly appeared hundreds of thousands of miles in front of him, just in time to hear the other party's words of submission and begging for mercy. However, Yi Xian obviously didn't intend to accept it. The space berserk ape's lips curled into a smile filled with tyrannical energy. Without hesitation, he punched out, "Surrender? I'm sorry, my underlings have just submitted. If I don't kill you, I'm afraid their morale will be affected. Your surrender, I won't accept." Li, hearing that he had already put down his dignity as an official level undying and begged for mercy, the other party still wasn't willing to let him go. and the reason was to appease the close to 100 undying underlings he had just ambushed. The black bug was furious. He raised his head and let out an unwilling howl. At this moment, he was filled with resentment. Rumble! In the next moment, before he could finish his sentence, an earth-shattering explosion rang out. The space berserk ape's meteor-like huge fist smashed into the black bug's body. Without any suspense, it destroyed the black bug's body, turning this official level undying into a bloody mist. Xiao! The space berserk ape waved its left hand, and an invisible wave of air swept up. In the blink of an eye, the blood mist formed by the explosion of the black bug's body was absorbed into its body and sent into the Shen cauldron, where it began to condense the second blood essence. At the same time, its body turned around and suddenly disappeared. When it reappeared, it was already 20 million miles away, and it quickly returned. All of this seemed to take a long time, but in fact, from the time Xianxia attacked until now, it had only been less than 10 breaths of time. It only took him 2 breaths to kill the space blood crocodile. Then, it took him 3 breaths to chase after the black bug. Then, it took him 1 breath to kill it with 1 punch. In addition, it took Xianxia about 3 breaths of time to return. In total, it took him 9 breaths. However, although 9 breaths of time was very short, for a powerful, ferocious beast with the terrifying cultivation base of late Marquis Immortal Realm, there were too many things it could do. Amongst the 3 Marquis-level ferocious beast commanders in this ancient restricted area of the starry sky, the Green Bull's cultivation was the strongest. It had already attained the 7th rank of the Immortal Realm, and it was only 2 ranks away from perfection. Even the strength of the first level of the Undying Realm was only 3 levels away from Xianxia. Unfortunately, the difference in strength between these 3 ranks wasn't within the same realm. Instead, it was the difference between an official and emperor-level Undying. Therefore, even though there was only a difference of 3 levels, the Green Bull was destined to be crushed by Xianxia in his current state. He was well aware of this, and he knew it better than anyone else. Therefore, when it opened its mouth and spat out 2 half-moonlight slashes that were 3,000 feet long, this Green Bull didn't even look at the result. It immediately turned around and fled far away. It was even faster than the starry sky blood crocodile and the black insect race by a breath. From the beginning to the end, it had definitely been more than 10 breaths of time since he started fleeing. In addition, his cultivation was the strongest. As a result, in the blink of an eye, the distance the green ox fled wasn't the slightest bit closer to the black arachnid that Xianxia had just killed. Now, it was already more than 80 million kilometers away, even exceeding the naked eye of the starry sky, berserk ape. The limit of the visual moment. Unfortunately, all of this was just fleeting clouds. There was no meaning in it at all. When an undying realm fully teleported, even a first-level emperor could reach 20 million miles away. Although the Green Bull had already fled 80 million miles away, to Xianxia, it was just a few teleportations away. Without caring about the energy in his body, Xianxia teleported 5 times consecutively. Within a few breaths of time, he had already crossed 100 million miles of space. With the last teleportation, his huge body appeared 1 million miles away from the Green Bull. The latter's figure that was flashing with extreme speed stopped abruptly, and after he let out a snort, he saw the starry sky ferocious ape snort coldly before swinging its right arm with the intention of smashing a punch towards him, and it terrified him to the point his entire body shivered on the spot. He almost blurted out, "Boss, please spare me. I'm willing to surrender. I have the remains of a 9-tailed sky, fox, treasure body from the ancient desolate era. I'm willing to serve you and let you order me around in the future. Besides, I've always been honest. I didn't attack those undying beings just now. Boss, you don't have to worry about them being suspicious. I don't want to die facing an undying marquis with such a strange temperament." Xianxia was a bit drunk. He really didn't like the cowardly character of the old green ox. He reckoned that he wouldn't have much of a future after taking it in as a subordinate. However, the temptation of the corpse of a primordial supreme being 9-tailed heavenly fox was still quite extraordinary to Xianxia. At the very least, it was far better than this cowardly green ox in front of him. Chapter 42:36. Boss, what this old cow said is true. The remains of the primordial ancient nine-tailed heavenly fox treasure body are under the planet that this old cow is in charge of. This old cow can bring you there to take a look later. Seeing that Yixian had really stopped the punch in his hand, the rank 7 green ox's eyes instantly lit up. He hurriedly struck while the iron was hot and hurriedly said, "In addition, for this forbidden area in the starry sky, this old cow is actually an outsider. I only came from outside more than 1,000 years ago, so there is no old cow here. A direct descendant." At this point, the Tier 7 green ox pointed in the distance behind him. "Don't think that I am the strongest beast commander in this forbidden area of the starry sky. However, for the past 1,000 years, I have been ostracized by the starry sky blood crocodile and that black arachnid. The two of them are the original commanders of this place. However, this old ox has always obeyed in public, but opposed in private. The two of them are in cahoots. I don't have a sense of belonging here at all. For more than 1,000 years, my entire heart has been like a rootless duckweed. I've drifted so far that I almost have nothing to live for. Until today, I met you, boss. This is truly pitiful. I finally feel like I've found an organization. Boss, you are my birth father. Stop." Seeing that this shameless fellow was getting more and more ridiculous, the violent ape of stars was speechless. If this continued, he probably wouldn't know what kind of words he would say in a while. Under the chill in his heart, Yixian immediately shouted and stopped in time. It had to be said that this Tier 7 green ox was really not an ordinary weirdo. Just now, his eyes were slightly red. Now that Yixian suddenly shouted, the words in his mouth stopped abruptly. He immediately clamped his tail and stood there obediently. A solemn expression appeared on his face. His solemn expression was truly one of obedience. Other than him, there was probably no one else who could be a Tier 7 conferred marquis. Sighing in his heart, Yixian seemed to have suddenly thought of something. He also turned his head and looked at the battlefield in the distance. Just now, the 100 immortal realm old monsters, the captive army, and more than 100 million starships behind him were all trapped in a vast void with a radius of millions of kilometers because of the bloodline talent of the black arachnid. It was as if they were trapped in a swamp and could not move at all. However, at this moment, because the black arachnid with an unknown bloodline had been killed, the vast sealed void with a radius of millions of kilometers in the battlefield was quietly unsealed and returned to normal. The 100 immortal realm old monsters who had been holding back their fury charged out as soon as possible, followed by the 10 square arrays of the captive army and the million arachnids of the survivors of Xianxia. After they charged out, they launched their cannons immediately. When Yixian turned around and looked at the battlefield, there was already a fierce battle in the void. The buffer zone, with a radius of millions of kilometers between the two armies, was no longer visible. More than 200 immortal realm old monsters, billions of ferocious beasts from the forbidden area, and an equal number of starships and arachnids were all fighting at the same moment. At this moment, they clashed and killed each other. The void that was more than 20 million li away was incomparably chaotic, and rumbling sounds filled the sky. Big Brother, those ferocious beasts from the forbidden area are not good guys. They have been colluding with the star blood crocodile and the black arachnid all the time. I couldn't vent my anger until I killed them all. I've been dissatisfied with them for a long time. Seeing Yixian's action, the level 7 green ox, not far away, immediately guessed something. His eyes darted around, and he quickly moved closer and glared at the area where the battle was going on in the distance. He changed the topic and continued. However, among the more than 100 immortal-level ferocious beast leaders, there are some who are like Old Neo. They are gentle and pure creatures. In fact, they have not had a sense of belonging to this place all these years. They're just hoping that you will come and save them soon. Why don't I call them over and greet you together? Of course, if you don't like them, I'll immediately slap them to death one by one. Who asked them to be so ugly? It's their fault for making you unhappy. The green ox's tone carried a sense of probing as it spoke carefully. Of course, if you don't like them, I'll immediately slap them to death. There was really no one else who was as shameless as him. Yixian turned his head and glanced at the level 7 green ox with a strange expression. After pondering for a while, he nodded slightly. Remember, don't accept those who have a large number of bloodline descendants. This was something that could not be helped. Even Yixian was envious of the 100 or so immortal realm ferocious beasts from the Forbidden Area. On one hand, he wanted to keep them and take them as his generals, but on the other hand, he wanted to kill them all and refine them in a blood essence. Unfortunately, this matter could not be done at the same time. He turned his head and looked at the bloody battlefield in front of him. He was pondering over this problem. Now that he heard this thick-skinned green ox's words, he made a decision. Most of the immortal realm ferocious beast leaders had clearly left behind many bloodline descendants in this forbidden area. For example, the sub-blood greedy wolf and the 2-star violent apes that Yixian had killed last time were mostly of the same bloodline as them on the life stars they guarded. Obviously, these immortal realm ferocious beast leaders could not be left alive. Otherwise, their bloodline descendants would be killed, and they would definitely harbor hatred in their hearts, unable to truly submit. On the other hand, this level 7 green ox was originally an outsider. At this moment, he was trying to plead with Yixian. He definitely wanted to save the ferocious beast leaders who were on good terms with him. Those who could be on good terms with this fellow were probably in the same situation as him. They were all lone wolves. There was no harm in taking in some of these immortal realm ferocious beast leaders. It could also strengthen and improve the strength of his subordinates to a certain extent. All right, big brother, just watch. This old ox will definitely bring back those who meet the conditions. In reality, the situation was not much different from what Yixian had expected. Hearing that he agreed, the level 7 green ox immediately grinned. Before he finished speaking, he had already turned around and shot toward the battlefield in front of him. After a short while, more than 20 immortal realm ferocious beast leaders followed behind him. They cowered and trembled as they arrived in front of Yixian. They stopped in a void hundreds of thousands of miles away. As far as the eye could see, there were all kinds of bloodlines. Basically, they were the kind that were difficult to breed. The race of their descendants was indeed a group of lone wolves. Why are you trembling? You bunch of fellows, why aren't you worshipping? Seeing that Yixian seemed to be satisfied with the 20 immortal realm ferocious beasts he brought, the level 7 green ox's tail, which was originally tucked behind his back, immediately swung proudly. The big ox stared at the 20 or so ferocious beast leaders and reprimanded them on the spot. This is the big brother I just acknowledged, which means he is your big brother. Hurry up and call for help. Chapter 42:37. The 20 or so immortal rank ferocious beasts brought by the rank 7 green ox were indeed all alone. Judging from their expressions, they were obviously not welcomed in this forbidden land of stars. They belonged to a group of leaders who were ostracized. Therefore, at this moment, a large number of ferocious beasts were killed in the battlefield behind them. Not only was there no sadness on their faces, but they also looked relieved. This was already the request of the talisman Empress Yixian. He immediately nodded, then raised his hand and pointed at the battlefield behind him. A cold light flashed in his eyes as he said, "Go, return to the battlefield. I won't force you. If you want to surrender, I don't care if you join forces or fight alone. Each of you will kill an immortal rank ferocious beast leader." Roar. Screech. As soon as he finished speaking, the 20 or so immortal rank ferocious beast leaders immediately turned around, roaring furiously as they rushed to the battlefield behind them. Obviously, they had made their choice. "Boss, I'll go kill one or two too." To Yixian's surprise, as the 20 or so immortal rank ferocious beast leaders left quickly, the rank 7 green ox on the side immediately turned around and rushed to the battlefield while muttering, "Although I'm gentle and don't like to kill, I'm doing this for you, boss. I'll do it, moo." Seeing this scene, a black line appeared on Yixian's forehead once again. At this moment, he suddenly had a bad feeling. It seemed that accepting this shameless green ox that was at the 7th level of the Immortal Marquis realm wasn't a good thing. It was too troublesome. Who knew how many more moths it would create in the future? Shaking his head with a bitter smile, his figure disappeared from the spot. After 2 flashes, he directly appeared thousands of miles away from the battlefield in the void. He didn't make a move, but just stood in the void like an outsider, watching the vast expanse of the void that stretched for more than 2,000 miles. Thousands of miles of the battlefield originally. There were more than 100 immortal rank ferocious beast leaders in this forbidden land of stars, while Xian only had 98 immortal rank old monsters under him. In terms of high-end battle strength, Xian's side was at a disadvantage. But now, as Green Ox took away more than 20 immortal rank ferocious beast leaders and joined Xian's side, they left the battlefield and returned quickly. They instantly turned against Xian. The high-end battle strength of both sides immediately decreased and increased. With the addition of Green Ox, an immortal rank marquee, the situation completely reversed. Xian's side now had the upper hand. As such, he naturally didn't need to make a move. It was a good opportunity to train his subordinates and sharpen their skills. Not far to the right, a shocking explosion sounded. Xian turned around and happened to see an immortal rank ferocious beast leader of the enemy side being killed by the 3-clawed flood dragon. The 3-clawed flood dragon's strength had reached rank 7 immortal rank, while the immortal rank ferocious beast leader it killed was only rank 4 immortal rank. There was a big difference in strength, so it was natural that the immortal rank ferocious beast leader was killed so quickly. Without hesitation, Xian immediately made a move and swept the remains of the immortal rank ferocious beast leader over. During this process, he directly crushed the remains into the purest blood mist and directly absorbed it into his body, sending it into the Shinnon cauldron to condense blood essence. Almost at the same time, 2 earth-shattering explosions rang out from the void on the left side, one after the other. Turning around, it turned out that the shameless rank 7 Green Ox had made a move. The 2 immortal rank ferocious beast leaders this old guy had picked were both at peak rank 9. They should be from the same clan as the Starry Blood Crocodile and the Black Insect clan. Although they were extremely powerful, they didn't even have a chance to fight back when facing a terrifying Green Ox with rank 7 marquee immortal rank. They were blasted into 2 clouds of blood mist. All right, there's no need for you to make a move. Seeing this scene, Xian immediately stopped the rank 7 Green Ox from making another move. Otherwise, with him alone, the remaining 100 or so ferocious beast leaders from the enemy camp would soon be wiped out. In this way, the purpose of refining weapons would be gone. As he spoke, Xian waved his hand again. 2 invisible forces swept out, directly absorbing the boundless blood mist that exploded from the bodies of the 2 immortal-level beasts into his body, sending it into the Shinnon cauldron to condense the blood essence at this moment. The shameless Green Ox, who had made a move to kill the 2 ferocious beast leaders and had perfectly expressed his sincerity, had already turned around and hurried back. At this moment, he had completely let down his guard against Xian. He had completely treated himself as a loyal lackey. He didn't suspect that Xian would make a move on him at all. Therefore, when he returned this time, he directly went behind Xian. The distance was very close. He stood there with his 2 back hooves, but his front hooves were crossed in front of his chest. He was completely like a gold medal fighter and bodyguard. Xian was intoxicated by this scene and kept rolling his eyes. Similar scenes kept happening one after another. To the 100 or so immortal rank ferocious beast leaders in this powerful forbidden land of stars, today was definitely a disaster day. 2 of the 3 marquee immortal rank commanders in the forbidden land were dead and 1 surrendered. Even more than 20 immortal rank leaders like them had surrendered to the enemy. In fact, the remaining 100 or so ferocious beast leaders all had the same thought. Unfortunately, the enemy didn't accept their surrender at all. They could only fight to the death. Unfortunately, in the distant void, there was still an immortal rank emperor observing the battle, including that shameless, traitorous Green Ox commander. Under such circumstances, there was no chance of survival at all. These 100 or so ferocious beast leaders had already lost all their will to fight. Their minds were in chaos. In less than half a day, they were completely killed. All the remains of the immortal rank leaders were crushed into a cloud of blood mist by Xianxia with a wave of his hand. He immediately absorbed it into his body and sent it into the Shen cauldron to start the blood essence condensation. However, even though the 100 or so sempiternal realm ferocious beasts had been killed, there were simply too many ferocious beasts in the forbidden land of starry sky. There were more than 100 million ferocious beasts. The battle that followed was still ongoing. Almost a day later, this shocking bloody massacre finally came to an end. Almost all the 100 million ferocious beasts in the Forbidden Land were killed. Only a few million ferocious beasts remained because they were chosen by the survivors of Xianxia Star and kept as mounts. Because of this, they were safe. Lives. After a day and a half, the battle ended. Next, it was time to count the spoils of war. For the expedition army, this battle's harvest was shocking. There were more than 100 million ferocious beast remains, not to mention there were more than 100 life stars. On each life star, there were a large number of ferocious beasts stored. Chapter 42:38. In the void, all kinds of battleships in the 10 square arrays of the captive army had scattered, including the million starry sky battleships of the survivors of Mulberry Orchid Star. Their main mission was to collect all the remains of the ferocious beasts in the space. Then, they would enter the 100-plus life stars in the space forbidden zone to search for cultivation resources and other spoils of war. As for Xianxia, his mind was currently immersed in the Shen cauldron within his body. As far as the eye could see, 137 blood essences had long been condensed within the belly of the volcano. They quietly floated above the flame pool at the bottom of the volcano. Among them, there were 135 normal immortal rank ferocious beast blood essences and only 2 marquee immortal rank ferocious beast blood essences. Xianxia didn't plan on using these blood essences for the time being, especially the 2 marquee immortal rank ferocious beast blood essences. They were one of the main ingredients for the level 22 pill in the future. The level 21 pill required normal immortal rank ferocious beast blood essences. Last time, Xianxia used 5 immortal rank ferocious beast blood essences to refine the level 21 pill. Although the perfect formula for the level 22 pill hadn't been derived yet, according to his estimation, he would need at least 5 marquee immortal rank ferocious beast blood essences to refine the level 22 pill. This was a top-tier resource that could only be obtained after killing a marquee immortal rank. It was very hard to get. Hence, even though Xianxia was sure that he would have a breakthrough after consuming the 2 marquee immortal rank ferocious beast blood essences, he still didn't give up. However, after some hesitation, he gave up on this plan in the end. In any case, he had to store up the 5 blood essences of marquee level immortality, level blood essences for the grade 22 pill. He didn't even plan on using the 100 normal immortal rank ferocious beast blood essences right away. After all, other than the level 22 pill he was using, he still had to refine some level 21 pills as backup. He still had more than 60 vials of level 20 elixir that could create an immortal rank, but he only had 1 level 21 pill that could create an immortal rank. He had to refine some later. Of course, refining a level 21 pill only required 5 immortal rank ferocious beast blood essences and various other top-notch resources. Xianxia now had more than 100 immortal rank vicious beast blood essences in his hands. He could use a portion of them to refine a level 21 pill, while the rest could be consumed to improve his cultivation base and strength. However, he was not in a hurry. After all the ferocious beast's blood essence had been condensed, what he was most concerned about now was the remains of the 9-tailed celestial fox that the shameless level 7 green ox had mentioned before. Swish! With a thought, all the blood essences turned into streaks of light and shot into the sealed cave at the bottom of the volcano in the central domain. Immediately after, Yi Xian's consciousness retreated and turned to look at the level 7 green ox. Let's go. Bring me to see the remains of the nine-tailed celestial fox you mentioned earlier. Boss, this way, please. The rank 7 Azure Ox had obviously expected that Yi Xian would ask about this matter first after the battle ended. Therefore, when it heard his words, it wasn't surprised in the slightest. It put down the pair of front hooves in front of its chest and no longer stood up. As it spoke, it spread its 4 hooves and immediately led the way. He flew toward the largest star among the hundreds of stars with life in the distance. Yi Xian stepped forward and followed closely behind it. As for his body size, it had returned to its original height of 30 meters because he had retreated from the 9 transformation devil-ape bloodline ability. It cannot be helped. Although the terrifying body size of 30 million meters was strong, it was not convenient and could not be maintained at all times. Since he had retreated from a 9 transformation devil-ape bloodline ability, Yi Xian's cultivation base had dropped from level 1 immortal to level 4 marquee immortal. He was weaker than the level 7 green ox in front of him by 3 small levels. However, Yi Xian was not worried at all that the green ox would betray him and suddenly attack him. If the green bull of the 7th step really had such thoughts, Yi Xian would be able to instantly enter the bloodline ability of the 9 transformations of the demonic ape with a single thought. At that time, when the strength of the Immortal Emperor Stage 1 returned, he would definitely torture this shameless and thick-skinned green bull to death. The other party clearly understood this as well. Therefore, even though he suspected that Yi Xian's original cultivation was only at the 4th level of the Marquee Immortal and wasn't his match at all, the rank 7 Azure Ox still didn't dare to act rashly. On one hand, the enemy had a terrifying bloodline ability. With a thought, he could transform into a 10,000 tall, raging ape, and his strength would instantly rise to Emperor level. On the other hand, when Yi Xian first came here, he was surrounded by the rank 7 green ox, the starry sky blood crocodile, and the black arachnid. He was clearly surrounded, but his mysterious method of disappearing without a trace in an instant caused the rank 7 green ox to be extremely fearful. Very quickly, Yi Xian arrived at the life star that he was overseeing under the guidance of the green ox of the 7th step. Just as he entered the atmosphere of this enormous life star, an extremely dense spiritual energy of heaven and earth assaulted his face. Yi Xian spread his spirit sense and scanned the entire surface and ocean of the life star. He saw a large amount of top-level treasures that even he was envious of. After all, this was the base of an immortal. There were too many treasures here. It must be the same in the life star blood crocodile and the black bug race. Big brother, now that I'm already your ox, of course, these top-notch treasures in my nest belong to you, big brother. Just take it as a token of appreciation from this old ox. Please don't reject it, big brother. You must accept it. Seeing Yi Xian's envious eyes, the green ox did not feel any heartache. He directly expressed that he would give everything to Yi Xian. Yi Xian naturally wouldn't refuse, but there was no need to rush to collect them now. In any case, all of the top-notch treasures in the starry sky blood crocodile and the black arachnid's nest would appear on the list of spoils of war and be delivered to Yi Xian. At that time, he would collect them all together. It would appear more generous. However, the attitude of this shameless green ox in front of him made Yi Xian's heart tremble. He looked at him with deep meaning. After that, the corner of his mouth slowly rose into a playful smile. Old ox, seems like you have something to ask of me. Yes, yes, yes. Boss is wise. Nothing can escape your eyes. Chapter 42:39. Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, the rank 7 green ox had already made his move. With a raise of his hooves, a huge explosion sounded out. A mountain in front of him was directly blasted apart, revealing a huge space within the mountain. There was nothing else in this huge space, only the remains of a 9-tailed fox. Clearly, it was the rank 7 green ox's treasure that had been stored here. This treasure was extremely large, over 30,000 meters in size. Its entire body was silvery white, and there was not a single strand of hair on it. Behind the heavenly fox's body, there were a total of 9 furry, silvery white tails. However, there were many damages on its body. Clearly, it had experienced a very tragic battle before it died. Close to a quarter of its enormous body was missing. However, this 9-tailed fox was an existence that was second only to the primordial supreme beings like the golden divine dragon and the void tortoise. Even though it had fallen countless years ago, its body was still full of vitality. The silver blood that flowed out of its wounds had not even coagulated yet. However, this treasure body of a primordial supreme being did not emit an overly powerful aura. It was probably related to the 9-tailed fox's bloodline. On the other hand, it was also because the rank 7 green ox had used some kind of method on this treasure body, restraining its pressure to a certain extent. After all, the green ox was also in existence with the strength of a rank 7 marquis. Although his temperament was so strange that it made people speechless, his combat strength and methods could not be ignored. Looking at the sparkling remains of the 9-tailed fox, Xianxia's eyes shot out strands of light. Just as he was about to wave his hand and absorb them into his body and send them to the sealed cave at the bottom of the volcano in the Shinong domain for safekeeping, the Yin Luo of the undying world in his body suddenly throbbed at an extremely high frequency. Xian's movements instantly froze. Swish. With a thought, the Yin Luo was directly taken out by Xian from the undying world in his body. It floated in the air in front of him and unfolded in the wind, transforming into a pink silk that was 300 meters long. It was suffused with a dense pink mist and revealed a mysterious and blurred aura. In the next moment, 3 jade legs that were pure white, like snow, stretched out from within the silk cloth that was suffused with dense pink mist, and it was extremely alluring. The rank 7 azure ox at the side was caught off guard and fell to the ground with a thump. When he finally got up with great difficulty, Corpse Ancestor Hamba, Corpse Ancestor Hoqing, and the Desolate Lady of Lightning, the 3 famous and powerful cultivators of the desolate world, had already walked out of the Yin Luo. One was passionate and cold. One was mysterious and enchanting, and the other was cold and stern with a soul-stirring charm. It could be said that each of them had their own temperament, but no matter if it was their figure or face, they were the best of the best and dazzling. Even though Xian was already familiar with them, when he saw 3 beautiful cultivators appear in front of him at the same time, all of them smiled and bowed, calling him master. At this moment, he suddenly had an urge to not be able to control himself. Seeing his embarrassment, the 3 beautiful cultivators of the primordial world immediately chuckled. Different postures, motionless movements, but all of their beautiful eyes were overflowing with color, causing Xian to feel his mouth go dry. He quickly shifted his attention to the cultivation strength of Hamba and the other 2 women. Only then did he shockingly discover that after not seeing them for a period of time, when the 3 women woke up from their slumber again, they actually all had the cultivation strength of the immortal realm, although they were only at the 2nd or 3rd level of the immortal realm. Even though it was the early stage of this realm, it was still shocking enough. However, when he thought about how the 3 of them were all almighty figures of the primordial era that were second only to the golden divine dragon and the void giant turtle, he thought about how the 3 of them were all almighty figures of the primordial era that were second only to the golden divine dragon and the void giant turtle. Now that they had reconstructed their treasure bodies, it was as if they had been reborn, and their cultivation strength did not need to be cultivated at all. To them, the sudden increase in strength was just like a recovery. Xian was also then, he felt relieved. More importantly, the speed of his own cultivation strength did not seem to be lagging behind the 3 beauties of the primordial world who called him master. In that case, there was nothing to worry about. Big brother, these 3 peerless beauties should be sisters-in-law, right? At this moment, the Tier 7 green ox had already recovered from its initial shock. With a shake of its body, it immediately ran behind Xian with its 4 hooves raised. It looked at the drought demon and the other 2 women, as if it was an obedient servant. As he spoke, he did not wait for Xian to respond. He greeted the three women on the spot. "Hello, sisters-in-law." Old Ox pays his respects to sisters-in-law. "Hello, sisters-in-law." Yixian was so shocked that he almost fell to the ground. What made him even more speechless was that the three women did not say anything to refute this title. Although they did not nod in agreement on the spot, the way they looked at the rank 7 green ox clearly carried a sense of approval. They seemed very close, causing the old thing to jump up in joy on the spot and excitedly. He kept spinning in circles on the spot, extremely happy. "All right, there's nothing for you to do here. Go do what you need to do." Facing this scene, Yixian really didn't have the strength to complain. He rolled his eyes and directly chased away the tier 7 green ox behind him. Then, he coughed lightly and quickly changed the topic. He asked the three women, "Just now, you sent a message in the Yen Luo saying that you have something important to report. What is it?" In fact, Yixian already had a guess about this matter, but he had not confirmed it. At this moment, seeing that he had asked about this serious matter, the corpse ancestor drought demon, who was most familiar with Yixian, immediately turned around and pointed at the huge wreckage in the mountain that had been blasted open in the distance. He smiled slightly and said, "This wreckage is the true body of the heavenly fox sister. What? Among the 7 great beauties, one of them is actually a 9-tailed heavenly fox?" Although Yixian had vaguely guessed this point at this moment, when the corpse ancestor drought demon confirmed it personally, he was still shocked and exclaimed softly. In the Yen Luo, a total of 7 primordial beauties were sealed in the Yen Luo. These 7 primordial beauties were all powerful people in the primordial era, second only to the golden divine dragon and the void giant tortoise. Now that they had awakened and had been reborn with the help of Yixian, only the corpse ancestor drought demon, the corpse ancestor Ho Qing, and the primordial lightning mother had reconstructed their bodies. The remaining 4 were only in the state of 4 primordial spiritual senses and were in a deep sleep. Yixian didn't even know who they were. But judging from the current situation, the 4th primordial beauty was obviously about to be born. She was the 9-tailed heavenly fox that drought demon mentioned at this moment. Yes, the heavenly fox sister is indeed one of the 7 great beauties. Chapter 4240. She can reconstruct her treasure body immediately, and it's made from the remains of her previous life's treasure body. Upon hearing this, Yixian's eyes lit up. His breathing quickened as he asked, "If that's the case, doesn't that mean the 9-tailed celestial fox can immediately regain her previous life's cultivation? Even if she can't reach the level of a powerful figure in the primordial era, she should be able to reach the level of a quasi-powerful figure in the primordial era, right?" It was no wonder that he was so excited. If he really had a general at the level of a powerful figure in the primordial era, even a titled immortal emperor would have to kneel down and submit to her. By then, she could do whatever she wanted in this void space. Yixian didn't know how many times he'd thought about such a good thing. When he'd just rescued the void tortoise, he'd already had such thoughts. The giant void tortoise's strength was even more terrifying. He had never fallen and had lived from the primordial era until now. Unfortunately, that old tortoise wasn't something that Yixian could control. He probably only listened to the headless infant corpse. Therefore, Yixian only thought about it in his heart. But now it was different. He had already refined the Yin Luo, and the 7 spiritual sources of the primordial era sealed in it had already recognized him as their master. If the 9-tailed celestial fox could regain her previous life's cultivation, she could only listen to Yixian because of the constraints of the master-servant contract, even if she was much stronger than Yixian. This was a powerful figure in the primordial era that could be controlled at will. It was impossible to not be tempted. "Master, you think too much." Hearing that Yixian had such high expectation for the 9-tailed celestial fox, the 3 girls were speechless. Corpse ancestor and drought demon shook their heads and smiled bitterly. They were speechless. Beside them, the desolate electro lady covered her mouth and smiled. He took over the conversation and explained, although the Sky Fox sister obtained the remains of the previous incarnation's treasure body as a material to reconstruct the real body, it is impossible for her to directly restore the peak strength of her previous incarnation. At most, She will have a higher starting point than us after we reconstruct the treasure body, unless there are no accidents. If there's no accident, she should be around the immortal realm. Only the immortal realm? That's too low. Hearing the words of the desolate lightning goddess, Yi Xian's entire body went cold. The supreme being of the desolate era that he had been expecting had turned into an immortal old monster in the blink of an eye. This difference was too great, and it was truly unacceptable. However, no matter how much he couldn't accept it, he still had to accept it in the end. After a period of depression, Yi Xian quickly adjusted his state of mind. No matter what, he had at least one more immortal-level general under his command, and one that was absolutely loyal. His cultivation speed was even comparable to his own. Who knows, the next time he wakes up from his slumber, he might even become an official level undying. He's not Master's master need to reconstruct the Celestial Fox, Celestial Fox, Celestial Fox, Celestial Fox true body, reconstruct her true body in the Fong Mountain. Master, Ancestor, Corpse, Ancestor, Ancestor, Corpse. Corpse, Ancestor, Ancestor, es body, body. Ho-Ching the Corpse Ancestor smiled faintly. As he spoke, he pointed at the desolate antiquity treasure, Yin Luo, which was floating in the void in front of him. Master, you just need to watch. The Heavenly Fox Sister is ready to attack. She's just waiting for your approval. Now that you've agreed, she must be impatient. Swish. As soon as Ho-Ching finished speaking, a scorching silver-white light shot out from the smoke net in front of him. It was extremely fast, directly shooting towards the mountainside that had been blasted open by the Class 7 Green Ox. In the blink of an eye, it had already arrived above the Heavenly Fox treasure body in the middle of the mountain. It flashed and disappeared into the space between its eyebrows in the next moment. The huge Heavenly Fox treasure body in the middle of the mountain suddenly bloomed with a scorching silver light. Its aura instantly increased, and it even revealed a touch of spirituality. For a moment, Yi Xian even had an illusion that the Celestial Fox, which had been dead for countless years, had come back to life. But this was obviously impossible. The reason why Yi Xian felt that the aura of the treasure body had suddenly become lively was actually because the Celestial Fox's spiritual sense in the Yin Luo had separated a wisp of energy and entered the treasure body's remains, forming a resonance with it. Just as Yi Xian was dumbfounded, the mountainside in front of him suddenly bloomed with an intense silver light that was dazzling even to him. Yi Xian subconsciously closed his eyes. When he looked again, he realized that the huge Celestial Fox treasure body's remains had actually separated at this moment. The solution had disappeared. Countless tiny silver lights appeared in the belly of the mountain. They carried a lively aura. Under the guidance of the blazing silver light that had been shot out from the smoke silk net, they quickly soared up and transformed into a silver river. They directly entered the smoke silk net that was fluttering in the wind ahead. This process only lasted for about a dozen breaths. When everything was over, the huge Celestial Fox treasure body in the mountainside in front of him had completely disappeared. Even the three ancient, beautiful cultivators in front of him, such as Shizhu and Hanba, had already turned around with a smile and entered the Yin Luo. Silver Fox thanks Master for the kindness of rebirth. This time, the treasure body needs to be reconstructed immediately. I can't come out to thank Master in person. I will thank Master when I wake up from my sleep in the future. Just as Yi Xian was in a daze, a soft and delicate voice suddenly came from a Yin Luo in front of him, which was fluttering in the wind. Yi Xian felt his bones lighten. As expected of the Celestial Fox, who was famous for her charm. Just a few words had such power. Yi Xian was a little frightened. When he came back to his senses, the Celestial Fox's soft voice had already disappeared. It was obvious that she was about to enter a deep sleep. Yi Xian suddenly thought of something and immediately said softly, "Wait a minute, I haven't given you a greeting gift." Of course, Hanba, Ho-Ching, and the Lightning Mother also have a share. In short, resources will be provided to you in full. Recover your cultivation strength as soon as possible. After saying that, Yi Xian suddenly waved his hand. In an instant, he took out 40 drops of all evil origin liquid, for 1,000 cubic meters of purple gold top-grade flesh medicine, and various other top-grade cultivation resources from the undying world in his body. He divided them into 4 portions and directly threw them into the Enluo. All of a sudden, they obtained so many cultivation resources, and all of them were top-grade items. Moreover, this time, there was even a purple gold top-grade flesh medicine. The 4 beautiful cultivators were clearly quite surprised, and at the same time, they were pleasantly surprised. Immediately, there was a sound of delicate laughter. "Thank you, Master. See? Didn't I tell you? Master will always remember us when he has something good. He's so cute. The celestial fox is so lucky to have been reborn in this life. She's just been reborn, and she already has someone doting on her." Chapter 42-41. As the cultivation resources were divided into 4 portions, they turned into streaks of light and disappeared into the Enluo. The 4 desolate era, beautiful cultivators giggled for a while and soon quieted down. There was no longer any enchanting laughter. Yixian waved his hand and kept the Yenluo into his undying world. Then he turned around and rushed out of the big balloon of the life planet. He collided head-on with the rank 7 green ox who was waiting in the void outside. This old fellow was obviously not a good person. When he saw Yixian come out, he immediately raised his hooves and rushed over. With a wretched smile on his face, he kept asking Yixian, "Boss, did you feel good?" When these words entered his ears, Yixian was so shocked that he almost fell down in the void. In a fit of anger, he kicked the wretched green ox 100 miles away. Now, he really regretted taking this fellow under his command. He was simply too shameless and wretched. With such a character, I wonder how he managed to become one of the 3 great marquee commanders in this formidable forbidden area of the starry sky for over 1,000 years. After a moment of depression, Yixian soon calmed down. Not far away, the rank 7 green ox saw that he seemed to have calmed down. He raised his hooves and ran over again. When he turned his head to look, Yixian discovered that the battle in the void outside hadn't been completely cleaned up. After all, the scale of the previous battle wasn't small, and a large area of 20 million kilometers was covered. Over 100 million beasts from the forbidden area had been killed, and there were some casualties on their side as well. Even if there were casualties, it would still take some time to mobilize the army to clean up the battlefield. Yixian was not in a hurry. He waited for another day. After a day, not only was everything in the void of the universe cleaned up, even the huge amount of cultivation resources in the 100 life planets, as well as the various other spoils of war, were all accounted for and recorded. After receiving the news, Yixian immediately issued an order for the higher-ups under his command to gather their respective armies and hold a general meeting. The meeting venue was the previous battlefield in the void. At the outermost periphery of the vast void were the 10 phalanxes of the captive army and the millions of battleships of the desolation survivors. They spread out in a vast expanse, covering the vast void. The circles were divided into 2 layers. The outer layer was filled with the captive army and all the powerful beings from the desolation survivors, including the Star Masters, Domain Masters, Sector Masters, and so on. They were all present, looking at a large area. The inner layer was made up of more than 100 imperishable old monsters, including the original 98 under Yixian and the 20 captives this time. In the middle of these imperishable old monsters was Yixian, who was sitting cross-legged in the void of the starry sky. As for the rank 7 azure ox, it stood on its hind legs and stood behind Yixian with its front hooves crossed in front of its chest. It stared at the surroundings with a pair of ox eyes and looked around with vigilance. No matter how one looked at it, it looked like a gold medal fighter and bodyguard. Old man, but they all had strange expressions on their faces. "Can you sit down first?" Yixian was speechless. He turned around and glared at him. The guy snorted and sat down with a grin. But he still didn't join the group of more than 100 imperishable old monsters. Instead, he sat down behind Yixian, as if he had to protect Yixian no matter what. He was going crazy. "My lord, these are the spoils of war this time. They've been sorted and stored in small space boxes. The list is here. Soon, The three-clawed flood dragon stepped forward. As he spoke, he waved his hand and handed over a jade slip and more than a dozen small space boxes. He was in charge of counting the spoils of war this time. After all, he was the chairman of the captive parliament and had real power. Yixian took the jade slip and scanned it with his divine sense. After that, he threw it back. Then, his divine sense entered the dozen small space boxes in front of him. Some of the small boxes were filled with the remains of the treasured bodies of the ferocious beasts from the forbidden areas. The other small boxes were sorted into different categories. They were filled with training resources, precious materials, precious medicines, various treasures, and materials for forging weapons. Among them, all the top-grade resources in the planets where the three marquee, undying lords were in charge were also collected. Seeing this, Yixian was envious. According to the previous agreement, 70% of these resources belonged to Yixian and his subordinates, and 30% belonged to the captive army. Yixian didn't intend to go back on his word. This was only the first battle, and there would be more battles to come. He couldn't be so short-sighted. Besides, the most precious spoils of war in this battle had already been collected by him. That was the blood essence of more than 100 ferocious beasts and the remains of the nine-tailed celestial fox. Yixian naturally wouldn't be greedy for the resources in the dozen small space boxes in front of him. Xiao, 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 xiao. With a wave of his hand, Yixian took a portion of the precious medicines and materials into his undying world. They were basically all the resources in the nests of the three marquee, undying lords. As for the rest, he gave them away with a wave of his hand. 30% went to the three-clawed serpent, 70% went to the group of undying lords on Xianxia planet. After which, he said, "These are the spoils of war. According to the previous agreement, we'll split them 30/70ths. Other than that, I've also collected some top-grade precious medicines, as well as the remains of some sector lord level and above forbidden lands. These will be refined into top-grade flesh medicine that can raise one's level. When the time comes, all my subordinates will have a share. As for the resources in your hands, you can save them or refine them into flesh medicine for the lower-level warriors to use. This will raise the overall strength of the entire army. As for the 30% of the spoils in the hands of the captive army, if you need to refine them into flesh medicine, you can just ask the Xianxia tribe for help. We're all on the same side. We should help each other." Speaking up to here, Yixian seemed to have suddenly thought of something. He turned around to look at the immortal realm old monsters of the tribe and asked, "All right, before this expedition, I asked all of you to bring along all the alchemy cauldrons on Mulberry Star. Has this matter been settled?" Immediately, an undying lord stood up and replied, "Master, all the cauldrons have been taken away. There's no more important resources on Xianxia planet. There's no need to return." Hearing this, Yixian nodded with satisfaction. Before this battle, he didn't plan to go back. Even if he wanted to go back, he would activate the interstellar coordinate jump ability and return directly. He didn't want to bring along a large group of subordinates. If that was the case, the delay on the way back would be too long. It was completely unnecessary. Chapter 42-42. In this battle, the punitive expedition army can be said to have gained a lot, and new blood has joined us. Turning his head and glancing at the subordinates around him, Yixian smiled faintly, and then said, "Next, we will continue to go to a new battlefield, but the next target of the punitive expedition has not been determined yet. This matter, this king will explore it later and finally determine it. Before that, all the subordinates of the punitive expedition army will be stationed in this forbidden area. More than 100 life stars will be our temporary foothold, and it will be the same in the future. Wherever we go, we will stay there before the next punitive expedition. All the subordinates of the punitive expedition army, after refining the spoils of this battle into flesh medicine, and after the resources are distributed, all of you will enter seclusion and strive to push your own cultivation strength to another level before the next punitive expedition. This is our ultimate goal. Everything is for our own cultivation, to go faster and further on the road of cultivation." Finally, Yixian waved his hand. "Okay, all the punitive expedition army, each select a life, start to settle down, and then start refining the flesh medicine. This king will also start the furnace again today and refine a furnace of purple crystal top flesh medicine. After the completion, the resources will naturally be distributed, so leave quickly. Go! Boom! Rumble. As soon as Yixian's words fell, a large number of battleships of the remnants of the punitive expedition army, under the guidance of the immortal realm old monsters, rushed to the life stars one by one. There is no doubt that the 12 tribes of the remnant people would each choose a life star. After settling down, they would immediately take out their cauldrons to attract the earth core fire and start another round of refining the flesh and blood medicines. Although the captive army did not have the ability and technology to refine the flesh medicine, Yixian had already said that everyone was on the same side and they should love and help each other. Presumably, they would not miss this opportunity and would definitely ask the remnants for help and use the resources in their hands to refine the flesh medicine and at the same time learn the refining techniques. None of this was something that Yixian needed to pay attention to. What he needed to do now was to use a portion of the resources he had just obtained to refine another cauldron of top-grade purple gold flesh medicine. After all, the higher-ups in the captive corps had not tasted the benefits of such a top-level medicine. It was time for them to taste some sweetness. In this way, they would work harder in the subsequent expeditions. Swish! With a flash of his body, Yixian immediately entered a life star, followed closely by the rank 7 Azurox behind him. This time, Yixian didn't chase him away. It was because of this guy that the 3-clawed flood dragon and the others didn't dare to come over, lest the farmer god called him be exposed. After entering the atmosphere of this life star, Yixian turned his head and ordered the rank 7 green ox not to let anyone enter the interior of the star. Then, with a flash, he came to a huge canyon on the surface of the star. With a wave of his hand, he directly summoned the Shinnong cauldron, and his figure rushed into the mouth of the cauldron that was enshrouded in 9-colored mist. Then he sat down cross-legged. Soon, with his thought, the hundreds of remains of the ferocious beasts of the sector Lord level and above were summoned. At the same time, Yixian also took out a dozen remains of the desolate ancient creatures, whose strength was at least of the immortal level. There were also large amounts of top-grade precious materials and medicines, as well as thousands of cubic meters of the mixture of the underworld furnace lotion and the innate chilling soul liquid. He took out all of them and suspended them in the middle of the flame pool at the bottom of the volcano in the central region. Boom! Rumble swish! With a loud rumble, a loud noise suddenly came from the flame pool below the large canopy of top-grade alchemy materials. A cauldron in the form of energy formed by the Shinnong 7-colored flames quickly rose from the flame pool. Soon after, the sound of the air breaking rang out. All the materials that were originally floating above the central region's flame pool automatically flew into the huge cauldron formed from the Shinnong 7-colored flames. In the blink of an eye, they had melted and merged together. The cauldron was not a physical object at all. It was formed by the Shinnong 7-colored flames. The cauldron was translucent, and everything inside the cauldron could be seen clearly. All the materials, under the scorching heat of the cauldron, were quickly merging together. In just a few breaths, all the remains of the treasure body, top-grade precious materials and medicines that flew into the cauldron were melted and merged together. Swish, swish, swish. At this time, from the mouth of the cauldron in the central region volcano, there were densely packed sounds of breaking through the air again. Streaks of different colors and shapes of obscure runes fell from the top of the volcano like rain, directly falling into this energy form. The Rainbow Cauldron. These obscure runes were made by Yixian, who was sitting cross-legged at the mouth of the cauldron, using the perfect alchemy technique that he had just mastered. At this moment, as they fell into the rainbow cauldron above the flame pool at the bottom of the volcano, this cauldron of top-grade flesh medicine was completely refined. Roar! As a large number of obscure runes fell into the rainbow energy cauldron, this cauldron of flesh medicine was completely formed. For a time, the phantoms of true dragons and true phoenixes rushed out of the cauldron, stretching their necks and roaring. Boom! In the next moment, a loud roar sounded. The rainbow cauldron above the flame pool in the central region released an infinite amount of light. In an instant, it turned into specks of rainbow light that sprinkled down towards the flame pool below. At this point, this cauldron of top-grade flesh medicine was completely refined. The cauldron condensed from the Xianxia 7-colored flame had successfully retreated, turning back into the rainbow flame and returning to the flame pool. Floating above the flame pool was a large canopy of purple-gold top-grade flesh medicine. It was not like the faint purple gold that was refined from the 12 main cauldrons of the Mulberry G-Star's 12 tribes. But it was not as pure as the purple gold that Xian refined from the pure remains of the immortal level treasure body last time. It was a top-grade medicine. It was between the two. However, this quality was enough for the immortal level old monsters like the 3-clawed flood dragon. This time, the condensed flesh medicine was as big as a mountain range. It was incomparably huge and exuded a dense aura of energy. It was enough for the captive army to use for a long period of time for the universe master level and above. After the refinement was completed, Xian let out a long breath. With a wave of his hand, he directly put the refined flesh medicine into 10 small spatial bottles. He would not use these flesh medicine himself, because he still had a large number of better quality medicines that were refined last time. They were far from being used up. Chapter 42-43. Previously, Xian would need to consume about 5 or 6 immortal-level ferocious beast blood essences to break through a small level. But now his cultivation base and strength had improved compared to before his previous breakthrough. Therefore, after pondering for a while, he took out 20 immortal-level ferocious beast blood essences. Clearly, this was prepared for the double breakthrough. Otherwise, if it was just a minor breakthrough, there was no way he would need to use 20 immortal rank vicious beast blood essences. At the very least, he would need to reach the late stage of the immortal rank vicious beast blood essences when he reached the late stage of the immortal rank. Right now, these 20 immortal-level ferocious beast blood essences and 100 cubic meters of top-grade purple-gold flesh medicine were all taken out by him and placed in front of him. After calming down, Xian suddenly waved his hand. The 20 immortal-level ferocious beast blood essences, which were only the size of a baby's fist, instantly turned into a bead and directly entered his mouth, turning into a hot stream that spread out. Immediately after, as many as 100 cubic meters of purple-gold top-grade flesh medicine were also compressed into a small ball by him, using the domain power of the Xianxia cauldron. In the blink of an eye, they entered his mouth. The 20 ferocious beast blood essences were all formed from the flesh and blood of the immortal-level ferocious beasts of the Forbidden Area. Moreover, they had been refined by the Xianxia 7-colored flames, so their effects could be said to be incomparably tyrannical. Swallowing so many at the same time, even with Xian's cultivation base and physical strength, he was caught off guard and somewhat unable to bear it. Suddenly, he felt an incomparably hot energy spread out in his body, almost causing his body to explode. Fortunately, the 100 cubic meters of purple gold flesh medicine that he swallowed was refined using the netherworld furnace milk and the innate chilling spirit liquid instead of the spirit spring. As its medicinal power spread out, Xian's body instantly had a clear stream that neutralized the scorching aura of the 20 immortal-level ferocious beast blood essences. He took a deep breath, whoosh. Walala, just as he heaved a sigh of relief, the sound of chains rattling like a tide came from within his body. This time, 2 invisible chains of the human body's potential appeared at the same time in Xian's body. This allowed him to breathe a sigh of relief again, because this represented the 20 immortal-level ferocious beast blood essences that he had just swallowed, as well as the 100 cubic meters of purple gold top-grade flesh medicine. Their majestic effects were enough to shake the 2 shackles in Xian's body. As long as he was able to completely tear apart these 2 shackles in the process of refining the medicinal power, then Yi Xian's cultivation strength will be able to welcome another 2 consecutive breakthroughs. There was no suspense at all. The Netherworld spring water, the Netherworld furnace milk, and a large amount of the innate chilling spirit liquid instead of the spirit spring water. Spring, water, spring, 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 Yi Xian, yi. Even if there would be a piercing pain, it would be weakened to the extreme under this kind of comfortable, cooling sensation. But this time, in addition to the top-grade purple-gold flesh medicine, Yi Xian had also swallowed 20 immortal-level ferocious beast blood essences that were so majestic that it made one's hair stand on end. Under the balance of the two, although it was not as painful to the bone as before, it was definitely far from a pleasant feeling. He'd long since become accustomed to all of this, and his mind wasn't shaken in the slightest. He'd always maintained a clear state of mind, and he constantly urged the vast river of energy that had fused into his body to circulate ceaselessly along his limbs and bones. The cycle repeated without any pause. In the end, Yi Xian had even forgotten the existence of time, and his entire mind was completely immersed in it. After an unknown period of time, when he felt the piercing pain in his body completely disappear, Yi Xian's consciousness returned, and he subconsciously opened his eyes. It was also at this moment, with the arrival of the breakthrough, that familiar system notification finally sounded in his mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host. The ancient Dongshu tactics has broken through. Current realm. Level 4 Marquis, Immortal. Ding! Congratulations to the host. The blood-chi body is broken through. Current realm. Level 4 Marquis, Immortal. But this wasn't the end, because the second round of system notifications quickly rang out once more. Ding! Congratulations to the host. The ancient Dongshu tactics has broken through. Current realm. Level 5 Marquis, Immortal. Ding! Congratulations to the host. The blood-chi body has broken through. Current realm. Level 5 Marquis, Immortal. Before this, because of the 100 bottles of level 20 liquid, Yi Xian's original body's cultivation had already reached the second level of the Marquis Immortal after experiencing the baptism of 100 lightning tribulations. After that, he made another breakthrough, and once he activated the 3-headed, 6-armed ancient demon ape bloodline, his strength would once again increase. He directly reached level 4 Marquis Immortal. If he used the 9-demon ape transformation and reached the 6th transformation, he would instantly reach level 1 Emperor Immortal. And now, as Yi Xian's original body once again broke through twice in a row, he advanced to the 5th level of the Marquis Immortal in one go, which was the peak of the early stage of this realm. Once he activated the Devil Ape bloodline in his body, he would enter the 6th transformation of the Devil Ape. His peak battle strength would instantly reach level 3 Emperor Immortal, reaching the peak of early Emperor Immortal. His battle strength would greatly increase. Even if he did not activate the Devil Ape bloodline in his body, the difference in cultivation between him and the Stage 7 Green Ox was only 2 small stages. And if he activated the Ancient Demon Ape bloodline and maintained his Ancient Demon Ape true form, his strength would reach level 6 Marquis Immortal, only 1 level away from Green Ox. Level 5 Marquis Immortal. Clenching his fists tightly, Yi Xian muttered softly, his lips curling into a gratified smile. And now, even if he didn't activate the Ancient Demon Ape bloodline, his strength had finally reached the middle Marquis Immortal level. With 2 more small breakthroughs, he would reach the late Marquis Immortal level. In fact, he would only need 5 more small breakthroughs to reach the Emperor Immortal level. 4 more small breakthroughs, and my strength will reach the peak of level 9 Marquis Immortal level. At that time, if I don't have a level 22 pill, my strength will stagnate again, and I won't be able to reach the Emperor Immortal level. After saying that, Yi Xian's eyes flashed with a dark light. He sighed, shook his head, and bitterly smiled. Not long ago, I successfully refined a level 21 pill. I didn't expect that it would be time for me to urgently need a level 22 pill to consume so soon. And now, The perfect formula for this level of treasure pill has just been derived. I still need at least 3 blood essences of marquee, immortal level beasts. Chapter 42-44. Whoosh! With a wave of his hand, Yixian put away the Shinnon cauldron. With a flash of his body, he entered the 3-headed, 6-armed demonic ape true form. His original cultivation level of rank 5 marquee, immortal increased by a small level, reaching rank 6 marquee immortal. Then, he left the valley and appeared in the sky of the star under his feet. Congratulations, big brother. You've broken through again. When Yixian entered the valley, his body returned to its original height of 10 feet, and his cultivation level was only rank 3 marquee immortal. But now, when he came out, his body didn't change. Obviously, he didn't activate the heaven-defying bloodline talent, but his cultivation level rose to rank 5 marquee immortal. After 2 small breakthroughs, the level 7 green ox's eyes immediately lit up. An envious expression appeared on its face, and it immediately congratulated him. He was also at the immortal marquee realm, so he clearly knew how difficult it was to break through a small level in this realm. If it was him, not to mention breaking through 2 small levels in a row like Yixian, even if it was just a small level breakthrough, it would still take a long time for him to break through. I've refined some flesh medicine. The secret refining method passed down by the remnant tribe is quite good. Although you're marquee immortal, it's still suitable for you. While speaking, Yixian raised his hand and threw out a small space bottle. Inside was the flesh medicine that he had just refined. It was between light purple and pure purple gold, and its medicinal effect was quite good. Yixian's eyes flashed with a dark light when he saw the other party accept the spatial bottle. He sighed, "What a pity the flesh and blood materials used to refine the pill are still a bit lacking." If the grade of the materials used to refine the fierce beast was higher, the effects of the great medicine would definitely be stronger. Hearing this, the rank 7 green ox was stunned for a moment. Then he subconsciously extended his divine sense into the small space bottle in his hand to see what was inside. In the next moment, the green ox's eyes suddenly lit up. Although the bottle didn't contain the pure purple gold top-grade medicine that Yixian had refined last time, its effect was quite extraordinary. Even the rank 7 green ox had never seen such a good thing before. After all, it was a medicine refined with the Shinnon 7-colored flame. This flame had the ability to turn something rotten into something magical. The green ox was excited after a brief inspection. The amount of flesh medicine in the small space bottle in his hand wasn't little. There were 2,000 cubic meters of it. Yixian had only filled 30 bottles of this amount before. Even he could use it for a period of time. If nothing unexpected happened, it wouldn't be a problem for him to push his cultivation base to the pinnacle of marquee immortal 9th stage. If it was in the past, he would need at least 100 years to break through to the 9th order with his current strength of the 7th order. But now he only needed to completely refine and absorb the flesh medicine in the small bottle in his hand. It would only take a few months at most. In the past, the green ox didn't even dare to think about such a thing. Now he finally understood why Yixian's cultivation had broken through so quickly in just a short period of time. The flesh medicine that Yixian had casually thrown to him was of such quality. Why didn't Yixian have anything better? However, even if he knew this, he couldn't just ask for it. That would be too unobservant. Yixian had already hinted at it. If he couldn't even understand this, he really didn't deserve to be called Feng Xiao. Thinking of this, the green ox's eyes flashed. He put away the small space bottle in his hand with a flip of his hoof. Then he said to Yixian in a muffled voice, "Boss, there's never a lack of fierce beasts and their flesh materials with stronger cultivation and better quality in this starry sky. There's a lot of." After saying that, he paused for a moment. Seeing that Yixian was indeed interested, he turned around and looked over, as if he was waiting for the rest of the story. Only then did he continue. "Earlier, the old bull said that he had something to ask of you. Since you've mentioned it now, I'll tell you in detail. The starry sky, forbidden land where old Ox's ancestral land, is as much bigger than this one. There are 600 to 700 planets of life, occupying a vast area of void space with a radius of 100 million miles. That starry sky, forbidden land, is called the Phoenix Blood Forbidden Land. The rulers are two fierce beasts with emperor-level cultivation. Under these two fierce beast kings, there are more than 30 marquee fierce beast commanders. Every marquee commander basically rules more than 20 fierce beast planets. The number of undying fierce beast leaders under them is even more. Basically, there are dozens of them. In other words, there are more than 1,000 undying fierce beast leaders in the Phoenix Blood Forbidden Land. I was forced to leave the Phoenix Blood Forbidden Land more than 1,000 years ago. Back then, I was at the undying level 9 Great Perfection. After coming here, I made 7 breakthroughs in the past 1,000 years. Excluding the few hundred years I spent in seclusion to heal my injuries and break through to the marquee, level 9 Great Perfection, I basically made 7 breakthroughs every 100 years. I made 1 breakthrough every 100 years. It's extremely rare to make such rapid progress in the marquee, level 9 Great Perfection. The reason why Old Ox is so diligent is so that I can make a breakthrough to the marquee, level 9 Great Perfection one day and kill my way back to the Phoenix Blood Forbidden Land. Speaking of this, the Green Ox's eyes shone with a cold and fierce light. With his temperament, he could have such monstrous hatred. It could be seen that the enmity he had made back then was not small. As if realizing that Yixian was interested in this question, the Green Ox took 2 deep breaths and calmed down a little. Then, he continued, Old Ox left the Phoenix Blood Forbidden Land because I was persecuted. Back then, Old Ox's cultivation was at the immortal level 9 Great Perfection. I was a peak leader. I only needed 1 more breakthrough to reach the marquee, level 1 Great Perfection. Then, I would be able to advance to the next level and become a marquee level fierce beast leader. In the Phoenix Blood Forbidden Land, the hierarchy is very strict. It's not as loose as here. After all, there are fierce beast kings there. Generally speaking, immortal level fierce beast leaders are led by 2 or 3 fierce beasts at the same time. As for marquee level fierce beast leaders, they have more than 20 life stars under their command. That's 50 to 60 immortal level fierce beast leaders. Back then, there were more than 30 marquee level fierce beast leaders in the Phoenix Bloodstar region. 600 to 700 life stars have basically been divided up. There are only 20 or 30 life stars left. If there are no accidents, once Old Ox breaks through and becomes a marquee level fierce beast leader, I will be able to choose about 20 of these 20 or 30 life stars to rule under my command. Chapter 42-45. At this point, the Green Ox did not continue. It fell into silence, but its eyes turned red. Yixian sighed. Although the other party did not continue, he had already guessed what happened next. Obviously, in order to ensure the interests of his only son, the Green Ox's immediate superior, the marquee commander he was loyal to, had secretly attacked the Green Ox. Originally, he might have wanted to kill it, but because this matter could only be done in secret, the Green Ox had just said that this kind of ferocious beast was in a forbidden zone. The hierarchy of the forbidden zones in the starry sky, where kings were in charge, was very strict. Since the hierarchy was strict, the discipline would definitely be the same. Therefore, even if the other party was a marquee commander, he probably would not dare to wantonly kill the immortal realm leaders under him. One had to know that there were only 1,000 immortal realm ferocious beast leaders in that huge forbidden zone. They were definitely not star lords or domain lords that could be killed at will. It was precisely because of this reason that the Green Ox was able to escape with its life, but it was also forced to leave the forbidden land of Phoenix Blood. If nothing unexpected happened, after the Green Ox was forced to leave, the one who broke through to the marquee realm in the forbidden land of Phoenix Blood and became a marquee commander should be the only son of the Green Ox's immediate superior. Actually, this Old Ox does not blame him for this matter. For the sake of my only son, this Old Ox would have done the same. Just as Yixian was pondering what had happened after that, the Green Ox, whose eyes were red, spoke again. It continued hatefully. What this old ox hates is that he completely disregarded this old ox's thousands of years of hard work in countless battles. After he failed to persecute this old ox, he forcefully framed this old ox for having an affair with another person. This powerful forbidden zone is a crime. The pitiful life star that this old ox oversaw, countless oxen, and ox-headed beauties, were all killed just like that. Yixian also thought of this. If one did not eliminate the roots, they would grow again when the spring breeze blew. Whether it was the human race or the ferocious beast race, this kind of thing was not uncommon. However, the green ox's heart was filled with sorrow. It was one thing for it to recall those oxen that had been killed, but what the hell was that ox-headed beauties? He was already so old, but his hobbies were still so unique. It really caught Yixian off guard. He was so shocked that he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. However, after hearing this, he could be considered to have completely understood the black ox's towering resentment. The other party was indeed not kind, and could even be said to be extremely heartless. After all, the black ox was a general under his command that had followed him on many campaigns for many years. It was fine if it was harmed for no reason and escaped with its life. One should be lenient whenever possible. Not to mention that the azure ox hadn't even attained the conferred marquis realm, so it was impossible to seek revenge from him. The azure ox had already fled with heavy injuries, yet he was still accused of colluding with the enemy in the forbidden land of Phoenix blood, causing his bloodline descendants to be completely annihilated. After understanding the bloody history of the past, Yixian sighed. He could not help but sympathize with the green ox, but his words were not polite. Like pouring cold water, he changed the topic and continued. But have you ever thought that more than 1,000 years have passed? You have already broken through from the 9th level of the immortal realm to the 7th level of the conferred marquis. Your immediate superior back then, if nothing unexpected happened, he would have long been a conferred king. Even if you break through soon and become a king of ferocious beasts, how can you seek revenge with only the 1st level of this realm? It would be best if we didn't deliver ourselves to them in the end. The green ox had obviously thought of this as well. Just as Yixian finished speaking, his expression darkened. He sighed and said, "Indeed, so before this, although this old ox had wholeheartedly cultivated and used revenge to numb myself, desperately seeking a breakthrough, in reality, I was very clear in my heart that my cultivation was still there. While I was improving, so was my opponent. If nothing unexpected happened, I'm afraid I have no hope of revenge in this life. But now that I've met you, I see hope again. Otherwise, I'm still a titled marquis. How could I be so cowardly and surrender on the battlefield?" His words were a little pretentious. Yixian had long seen through this old man's temperament. However, the other party was feeling miserable now. It was rare for him to be pretentious, so Yixian naturally would not expose him. After thinking for a while, he said, "If that's the case, I can make a trip to the forbidden land of Phoenix blood with you. Of course, the first time there, we can only do it secretly. On one hand, we can see the situation. On the other hand, we can see if there's a chance to lure and kill a few conferred marquis. Sigh, there's no other way. Although I can make a treasure pill that allows conferred marquis to directly break through to the emperor level, in terms of raw materials, every treasure pill needs all the blood of at least 5 conferred marquis corporeal bodies. I only have 2 pills now. I can't help you even if I want to." "What? A treasure pill that allows conferred marquis to directly break through to the emperor level?" When the green ox heard this, his breathing instantly quickened. His eyes blazed as he stared fixedly at Yixian. "Boss, can you really refine this kind of treasure pill? Is there even a need to say that? I need it myself. Without using my technique, I'm already a conferred marquis level 6. With a few more breakthroughs, I will reach the pinnacle level 9. When that happens, I will be able to eat one. You can see the effects yourself. At most 3 days, I will reach the pinnacle level 9, breaking through to emperor level 1. See, 3 days is enough? Old bull, oh my god." Seeing how certain Yixian was, the green ox once again sucked in a cold breath. The light in its eyes instantly became even more intense. Previously, when the big boss was only at the 4th level of the conferred Marquis realm, he was able to activate the secret technique in his body and instantly possess a bloodline true body that was tens of thousands of meters long. Furthermore, his cultivation base had soared to the level of conferred king. You became a conferred Marquis level 1. If that's the case, your heaven-defying bloodline talent can raise your own cultivation by 6 levels. If that's really the case, once you break through to the 1st level Monarch realm and use this bloodline ability again, won't you be able to instantly jump from the 1st level Monarch realm to the 7th level Monarch realm? Yixian had already guessed what the Green Bull wanted to say. He didn't plan on hiding anything and nodded. That's right. That's indeed the case. This time, Old Nyo will do it. Seeing that he admitted to this matter, the green ox immediately raised its hooves. At this moment, he was filled with pride. No matter how fast that guy cultivates, he definitely hasn't reached the late stage of the Emperor-conferred realm yet. In that case, as long as you break through to the 1st stage of the Emperor-conferred realm, and I do the same, then there are 2 titled Emperors, one rank 1 and one rank 7. If they work together, killing that old bastard will be a piece of cake. Chapter 42-46. So what if there are 8? Green Ox immediately grinned. In order to refine a treasure pill that can help you break through to Emperor level, I can even lure out 80 Undyings one by one and kill them. 80? Are you kidding me? Yixian was shocked and replied instinctively. The forbidden land of Phoenix blood you just mentioned is already so powerful, but there are only about 60 Undyings in total. To lure out 80 at once, it's not enough to kill them all. Just to catch one scourge in Phoenix blood Starfield? You're too daring. I wouldn't dare to do such a thing. A powerful forbidden land with ferocious beast kings guarding, it can only lure out less than 10 Undyings at most. In fact, if there are more than 5, the probability of being discovered is more than 70%. As it spoke, the green ox rolled its eyes. Seeing Yixian's expression of waiting, it continued. If one forbidden area in the starry sky is not enough, we can go to a few more. If we encounter a small forbidden area without a ferocious beast king and only 2 or 3 marquee commanders, we can just directly annihilate them. As for those medium forbidden lands with ferocious beast kings guarding it and dozens of marquee commanders, we can just lure and kill a few of them secretly. That way, if we go to a few more places, we can even gather 1 or 200 marquee commanders, let alone 80. What? 2 or 3 marquee commanders guarding it can only be considered a small forbidden land? Yixian was also shocked. He subconsciously turned his head to look around and muttered to himself. Then the few places that this king destroyed earlier only had ordinary undying beings guarding them. Isn't that a small forbidden area in the starry sky? A forbidden land with only ordinary undyings guarding it is indeed small. It's already giving them face to be called small. Even this piece of land of mine is only a small restricted area in the starry sky. The green ox sighed and continued. This expanse of space far surpasses your imagination. Even though it's merely a fragment of a corner of the primordial world, how vast was the primordial world that was extremely glorious countless years ago? A fragment of the world that's slightly bigger than a fragment has such a scale. This is very normal. In this void fragment of the untainted land, the forces are basically divided into 2 camps, namely, the forbidden area ruled by fierce beasts and the remnant star area inhabited by survivors. Whether it's the ferocious beasts forbidden star zones or the remnant star zones of the remnant star zones, their levels are more or less the same. Just as I said earlier, let's take a forbidden area ruled by ferocious beasts as an example. If there are only sempiternal realm ferocious beasts guarding it, then it's considered unrated. Those with official level undyings are normally small space forbidden lands. Emperor level undyings, also known as the kings of the beasts, are usually in medium-sized forbidden lands. At this level, the hierarchy is usually stricter. A large space forbidden land has at least 1 emperor guarding it. As for the pinnacle space forbidden areas, the ones guarding them are at least emperors, or even stronger. What's the cultivation level above Emperor level? Is it a great being from the quasi-primordial era? Hearing this, Yixian suddenly interrupted. Even at his level, Yixian was still lacking in certain aspects, as he was a loner without a strong race or power behind him. He only knew about Emperor-level undyings, quasi-primordial era great beings, primordial era great beings, and primordial era supreme beings. As for how many realms there were between Emperor-level undyings and quasi-primordial era great beings, he was completely clueless. Now that he finally met someone who understood, no, it should be a cow who understood everything, he naturally wouldn't miss this opportunity to ask about it. You don't even know this? Green Cow seemed very surprised. He looked at Yixian with a strange expression and said, above Emperor-level undyings are Universe Knights, Universe Masters, and Universe Supremes. The Universe Supremes here are the quasi-primordial great beings from the primordial era, which means, hearing this, Yixian's eyes lit up. After Emperor-level undyings are Universe Knights, Universe Masters, Universe Supremes, primordial era great beings, and primordial era supreme beings? If that was the case, as long as he became an Emperor-level undyings, he would only be 5 realms away from supreme beings like the golden godly dragon and the void tortoise. Of course, the further one went, the greater the difference between a small stage. There is no need to mention a full 5 large stages. However, to Yixian, it was only 5 large stages. He felt that it wasn't too far away. After Emperor-level undyings, there are indeed 5 realms. However, the primordial era supreme you just mentioned isn't the limit. When it spoke up to this point, a wisp of a mysterious expression appeared on the ox's face. It sighed before continuing. There's another realm above primordial supreme. It's a legendary realm, and that's the heavenly Tao realm. Back then, during the glorious primordial era, it was said that 2 supreme beings of the heavenly Tao realm gathered and fought against each other. That was why it eventually collapsed. Today, the primordial age has become history, but in the void fragments of the primordial age, there is still a legend. It is said that the 2 supreme existences of the heavenly Tao realm were only seriously injured and did not perish. One day, they will return, and once they return, a new war will erupt in an instant. This time, in the vast shattered world and endless starry sky, there will be many more. In the battle between these 2 beings, the primordial world fragment might be completely annihilated. Even if you and I can't stay in this kind of world fragment void, it's naturally impossible for you and me to survive in it. The only way to save it is to let this vast world and the endless starry sky give birth to a 3rd supreme being of the heavenly Tao realm. In this way, under the tripartite balance of power, the 2 tigers that once destroyed the primordial world can be avoided. Unfortunately, it's not easy to achieve the supreme being of the heavenly Tao realm. For this goal, countless remnant experts and space beasts in this primordial world have worked hard for countless years, but to no avail. It's said that the opportunity to achieve the heavenly Tao realm only exists in the ancestral planet. Where is it located? In this part of the starry sky, I'm afraid only the core upper echelons of the few supreme forbidden lands and the remnant star field can grasp some clues. Chapter 42-47. Didn't you say that after the undying Emperor level, there are still the 5 realms of Universe Knight, Universe Master, Universe Supreme, Primordial Great Being, and Primordial Supreme? Nodding, Green Ox continued. The Forbidden Lands where the Undying Emperors are in are called top-tier Forbidden Lands. It's the same for the Remnant Starfield, and the so-called Supreme Forbidden Lands are where the great beings of the 5 realms after the Undying Emperors are in charge. The term Ultimate Forbidden Lands is just a general term. In fact, the Ultimate Forbidden Lands are also divided into different levels. After all, these are the last 5 great realms. The power that each of the 5 great realms represents is very different from the others. The Supreme Forbidden Lands where the Universe Knights are in charge are the primary ones. The ones where the Universe Masters are in charge are the intermediate ones. The Universe Supreme ones are in charge of the advanced ones. The Supreme Forbidden Lands with the primordial great beings are in charge are the top-tier ones. As for the primordial Supreme, other than the Supreme Forbidden Lands, the others aren't good enough. Damn, these levels are too strict. Hearing this, Xian finally understood the power structure of this broken primordial space. Generally speaking, the Forbidden Lands were divided into two categories. The first category, officials, emperors, and emperors respectively ruled small, medium, large, and top-tier Forbidden Lands. The second category, Universe Knights, Universe Masters, Universe Supreme, Primordial Great Being, Primordial Great Being, Primordial Great Being, Primordial Great Being, and Primordial Supreme Being, all ruled small Forbidden Lands respectively. They were in charge of beginner, medium, advanced, top-tier, and super. After all this time, the Forbidden Land I'm in now is only the entry level of the first category, a small Forbidden Land ruled by an official. After understanding all of this, Xian immediately felt a huge blow. His entire body sagged as he shook his head and sighed. Just a moment ago, he thought that he was a super big shot, but now he knew that he couldn't even be considered a runner. This was too much of a blow to his self-esteem. Boss, don't belittle yourself too much. The 5 great levels of the Supreme Starry Sky, Forbidden Lands, do indeed exist in this vast void. However, no one dares to say exactly where they are, but Old Cow is completely confused. I don't have the qualifications to come into contact with that level. Seeing Xian's depressed mood, the Green Ox changed the topic and immediately started to explain. In fact, even if it's a top-notch forbidden area overseen by an undying emperor, this old ox has only heard of one. Moreover, it's just a rumor, and I can't be sure if it's true or not. Basically, in the tens to hundreds of trillions of kilometers around our star field, the only real forbidden area that exists is a large forbidden area ruled by an undying emperor, as well as a few medium-sized forbidden areas ruled by an undying emperor. Phoenix Blood Forbidden Area. Phoenix Blood Forbidden Land is one of the latter. After saying this, Xian felt better. After adjusting his mood, he threw all the thoughts of reaching beyond his grasp to the back of his mind. He took a deep breath and said, "So, let's just ignore the top-tier Forbidden Land ruled by an Emperor level Undying for now. Even a large Forbidden Land ruled by an Emperor level Undying in the surrounding star field. We'll ignore it for now. Right now, the most important thing is to first enter the Phoenix Blood Forbidden Grounds and the other mid-sized Forbidden Grounds with Emperors. First, we'll lure and kill 10 officials. Then we'll refine the 2 pills we need to break through to Emperor level before we do anything else." Yes. That's what I meant. After chatting for a while, they finally returned to the real business. The Green Ox immediately became excited again. It raised its hooves and snorted. Then he continued, "Let's start from Phoenix Bloodstar region. I'm familiar with that place. Although I've been away for more than 1,000 years, there shouldn't be any changes in the forbidden area. It shouldn't be a problem to lure out a few marquee level Undyings and kill them. In that case, this matter is settled. In a few days, the 2 of us will pack lightly and go on a long journey together." Taking another deep breath, Xian pondered for a moment before continuing, "Let's set the departure date for tomorrow. After all, my subordinates have just gone through a great battle and have not completely settled down here. This king still has some matters to attend to. You don't have to follow me anymore. If there's anything you need to do, just deal with it yourself. Come back here at this time tomorrow. After we meet up, we'll set off immediately." The green bull nodded and didn't dawdle any longer. After snorting, it turned around and left. At this time, Xian sent a message to the group of Undying's old monsters under his command with his divine consciousness. He asked everyone to gather outside the atmosphere of the star where he was. He had some matters to attend to. After a short while, more than 100 Undying's old monsters under his command all arrived. They were divided into 3 camps and waited quietly outside the atmosphere of the star. There were more than 30 Undyings in the tribe of the survivors of Xianxia star. There were more than 60 Undying's old monsters in the captive army headed by the three-clawed flood dragon. Finally, there were more than 20 Undying's ferocious beasts in the forbidden area that he had just subdued in this battle. This battle is over. I'm sure the trophies obtained by the small armies are being distributed and consumed. Stepping out of the atmosphere of the star under his feet, Yixian appeared in front of the more than 100 Undying's old monsters in the blink of an eye. As he spoke, Yixian waved his hand, and many small space bottles were sent out by him. They fell into the hands of the Undying's old monsters in the three small armies under his command. Then he said, "This is the flesh medicine that I just refined. Distribute it. In the future, no one is allowed to step out of this void for a period of time. Except for some people who are on patrol duty, everyone else is to go into seclusion for a year. During this year, I'll go out occasionally, but I'll come back irregularly. After a year, I'll personally inspect the improvement of the overall battle strength of each small army. If there's anyone who slacks off, he'll be punished." While he was talking, the more than 100 Undying's old monsters in the three small camps had already raised their hands to catch the small space boxes that Yixian had sent out. After checking the boxes with their divine consciousness, all the Undying's old monsters gasped in an instant. Their eyes were blazing with light. Chapter 42-48. The next day, the green ox came as promised. Yixian had just finished deducing the level 22 pill and stood up after confirming that it was correct. Then, the two of them silently left the forbidden area in the starry sky and flew towards an area further away in the starry sky at an extremely fast speed. Yixian and Green Ox's purpose of this trip was to lure and kill marquee Undyings and use their flesh to refine the blood essence. According to Yixian's estimation, refining a level 22 pill would require at least 5 Undying level ferocious beast blood essences, and he only had 2 right now. The gap was not small. He still needed at least 8 more. 8 marquee Undyings couldn't just focus on one medium forbidden land. If they did, they would be discovered before they could even complete the mission. If they alerted the ferocious beast kings, it would be fine if only one came, but if 2 emperors appeared at the same time, even if Yixian couldn't beat them, he could at least escape. However, Green Ox would be in trouble. Hence, the two had already discussed that these 8 marquee Undyings could only be killed in different medium forbidden lands. They couldn't kill more than 3 marquee Undyings in each forbidden land. There were only 2 mid-grade forbidden grounds that the Azure Ox knew the exact location of. One was the forbidden grounds of Phoenix Blood that it was originally at, and the other was the forbidden grounds of Behemoth that was an entire 10,000 kilometers away from the forbidden grounds of Phoenix Blood. There were 2 emperors in the forbidden land of Phoenix Blood, and they were both birds. That was where the name of the forbidden land of Phoenix Blood came from. As for the outer Behemoth forbidden land, there were 2 emperors as well, but they weren't birds. Instead, they were copper behemoths with extremely strong bodies. However, this information was from over 1,000 years ago. Even the Azure Ox did not know if the details of the 2 mid-level forbidden grounds had changed greatly during this period of time. After escaping from the Phoenix Bloodstar area and spending hundreds of years to break through to the tidal Marquis realm, he had never returned after coming out of seclusion. After settling down in the small forbidden area of the starry sky, he devoted himself to cultivation and rarely went out. These 2 mid-grade starry sky forbidden grounds were the targets of Yixian and the Green Ox's journey. They would first head to the forbidden Phoenix Blood grounds before heading to the forbidden Behemoth grounds. Of course, these were only 2 intermediate space forbidden lands. If the 2 agreed to kill no more than 3 Undyings, they wouldn't be able to get 8 blood essences. However, the Green Bull still knew of 2 small forbidden areas that only had marquee-level immortals guarding. These 2 small forbidden areas happened to be on their way to the Phoenix Blood forbidden area. If nothing unexpected happened, they would be able to obtain at least 4 to 5 marquee-level immortals in these 2 small forbidden areas. Vicious Beast Blood Essence. If that was the case, then the following 2 intermediate space restricted areas would only require 1 to kill 2 officials each. The risk of being discovered would be much lower. The Phoenix Bloodstar area was nearly 10 billion miles away. Even with the cultivation of Xianxia and the Green Ox in the Marquis realm, it would still take them more than 20 days to get there at full speed. If they were to count the time spent in the two small forbidden areas, they would need at least a month. After leaving the small forbidden area that they had just taken down for so long, Xianxia was still worried. However, it couldn't be helped. Marquis-level immortals weren't cabbages that could be found everywhere. It was inevitable that they would have to travel far in space to kill them. A few days later, the two traveled at full speed and left behind nearly 2 billion miles of space behind them. At this time, they finally arrived at the first small forbidden area on their way to the forbidden Phoenix Bloodground. Roar! Raising his head and roaring, Xianxia didn't hesitate to use the bloodline ability of the 9 transformations of the demonic ape and directly entered the 6th transformation. His body didn't slow down in the slightest as it continued to expand. In a few short breaths, it had already reached a height of 10 million meters like a small star. The power emitted from his body also skyrocketed to the 3rd level of Emperor level. It was unprecedentedly powerful. Beside him, the Green Ox, who had shrunk his body to the same size as Xianxia and was only 10 feet tall, also activated the majestic power of blood in his body and instantly transformed into a giant green ox that was 1 million feet tall. Unfortunately, although this kind of body was already like a small meteor compared to Xianxia, who was beside him, it was nothing. It was simply an unremarkable little thing. Roar! Roar! In a small forbidden area in the starry sky thousands of miles away, several fierce roars and roars suddenly came, followed by the roars of countless fierce beasts in the forbidden area. The vast void of the universe within thousands of miles was in an uproar. There are actually 3 Marquis-level immortals? What a surprise! As Xianxia's divine sense quickly extended outwards, everything within this small forbidden area of space that was tens of thousands of kilometers away was instantly investigated. According to the Green Ox, there used to only be 2 Marquis-level immortals in this forbidden area. However, that was over 1,000 years ago. Today, there was obviously another ferocious beast leader that had broken through and become an official level leader. As he muttered to himself, Xianxia's figure didn't slow down in the slightest. Before he could finish speaking, the pressure within his body had already spread out in all directions. His enormous figure was like a meteor that was flying through the starry sky at an extremely fast speed, rumbling as he sped forward. What? This is an Emperor-level space berserk ape? It's actually still Emperor level 3. There's no chance of winning this battle. Flee. Flee, as the strength of the titled Emperor realm spread out from Xianxia's body. A few screams that were filled with boundless fear immediately sounded out from tens of thousands of kilometers away. The 3 Marquis-level immortals in this small forbidden area didn't hesitate at all and turned to flee. They even split up and fled, each choosing a different direction and increasing their speed. The weakest one on the left, the early Marquis level, I'll leave it to the old ox. Boss, the other 2 are mid-Marquis level. They aren't much slower than the old ox. We'll have to trouble you then. Moo! A wisp of a cruel expression appeared on the corners of the green ox's mouth when it saw this scene. As it spoke, it raised its head and mooed. In an instant, it transformed into a green ray of light that shot towards the starry sky to the left. Show! Rumble! Xianxia didn't even reply. In a flash, he blocked the path of one of the Marquis-level immortals. Without saying a word, he blasted him into a bloody mist and kept it into his body. After sending it into the Shin cauldron for blood refinement, he flashed again and fled, next to the ferocious beast commander in the other direction. Chapter 42-49. With just 2 punches, Xianxia had killed 2 Marquis immortal-level ferocious beast commanders. It wasn't that his opponents were weak, but that he was too strong. A peak early Marquis immortal level against a middle Marquis immortal level was like crushing an ant. It would be strange if he couldn't finish the battle with 2 punches. After the second Marquis immortal's body exploded, the boundless blood mist was absorbed into his body. After sending it into the Shin cauldron, Xianxia immediately removed the sixth transformation of the devil ape and returned to his original height of 30 meters. Even so, his cultivation was still at the fifth level of the Marquis Immortal. To the countless ferocious beasts in the Forbidden Lands, he was still in existence that they could only look up to. At this moment, the ferocious beasts in the Forbidden Lands on the surrounding life stars had already fled in all directions, rushing to the surrounding void space. Yixian didn't plan on chasing after them at all. With a casual wave of his hand, the various spirit herbs, spirit medicines, and other cultivation resources within the 100 or so life stars in front of him automatically flew up, transforming into multiple streams that shot out from the atmosphere of the life stars, finally converging into a majestic stream. Yixian absorbed all of them into the Farmer God Cauldron. When he finished all this, the two streams of qi and blood that were just sent into the Farmer God Cauldron had been successfully condensed into two immortal-level ferocious beast blood essences. At this moment, the figure of the green ox also appeared in the void on the left. It had also returned to its original height of 30 meters. It held a ball that had been compressed to a radius of around 3 meters. It was the ferocious beast qi and blood after the early stage Marquis body exploded. Green Ox was a late Marquis immortal level after all, so it was naturally easy for him to kill a Marquis immortal level ferocious beast blood essence. Besides, the Marquis immortal level ferocious beast blood essence was already in a state of chaos due to the unexpected encounter with the Marquis immortal level ferocious beast blood essence. Xiao, with a wave of his hand, Yixian collected the ball of qi and blood in the green ox's hand and sent it into the Shinnon cauldron. In just 3 breaths, it was refined into a blood essence of a Marquis-level ferocious beast. Together with the other 2, it was sent to the sealed space at the bottom of the volcano in the central region for safekeeping. Both Yixian and the green ox were very excited to have obtained 3 titled Marquis blood essences in their first battle. The latter was even howling. Those who didn't know better would think that it was a green wolf spirit that looked like an ox. Boss, on this trip to the forbidden land of Phoenix blood, there's a second small forbidden land in the starry sky. Back then, there were only 2 undying marquises there. Perhaps the number has doubled, and it's possible that there are as many as 4. After excitedly imitating a few wolf howls, the green ox finally calmed down a little. He turned his head to look at Yixian and urged, "There's no need to pay attention to the other ferocious beasts in this small forbidden land. We'll bring the army back to annihilate them. Let's go to the next target first. A distance of 3 billion miles. I'm afraid it'll take 6 or 7 days to arrive." Yixian nodded and didn't say anything else. He directly spread out his body and shot towards the front of the road. 6 days later, the second small-scale forbidden space zone appeared in front of them. The overall scale of this starry sky forbidden zone was actually slightly inferior to the previous one. There were only over 80 planets with life. However, what made Yixian and the Green Ox's eyes light up was something else. This small space forbidden ground with only 80-plus life stars actually had 3 official-level undying beast commanders. What was even more coincidental was that of the 3, the weakest one was only level 1. It was obvious that he had just broken through recently, and if nothing unexpected happened, he should have just broken through recently. To Yixian and the Green Ox, this was definitely good news. With these 3 blood essences, he was only 2 blood essences away from the 10 blood essences of Marquis-level ferocious beasts. This way, not only did they not need to go to the behemoth forbidden land guarded by the 2 copper behemoths, but they also only needed to kill 2 more Marquis undyings in the forbidden land of Phoenix blood billions of miles ahead to complete the mission. They had set their target. Killing 3 official-level undyings in the same medium-level forbidden zone was completely different from killing just 2. The possibility of being discovered was obviously the lowest. With this surprise, Yixian and the Green Ox didn't hesitate at all. They immediately activated all the energy in their bodies and attacked. In a short time, they killed all 3 official-level undyings in this small-scale forbidden space zone and refined them into 3 blood essences, which were given to Yixian. They were stored in a sealed cave at the bottom of the Central Region volcano. At this point, the number of marquee immortal-level blood essences in Xian's hands had already reached 8. If he wanted to, he could refine a level 22 pill on the spot. However, this wasn't urgent. After he gathered all 10, he could just refine them together. Xiao. At this moment, as the 3 official immortal-rank ferocious beasts were killed one after another, the countless beasts in this small forbidden land had already fled under the lead of some immortal-rank ferocious beasts. Xian and the green ox still didn't chase after him. With a wave of his hand, the former plundered all the spirit herbs and spirit medicines within the 80-plus life stars, as well as all sorts of other cultivation resources. After sending them into the Xianxia cauldron, he directly turned around and rushed towards the established route. At full speed, the last few billion miles were finally left behind by Xian and the green ox. In front of them was the Phoenix Bloodstar region that the green ox had been thinking about for more than 1,000 years. Counting the time, the two of them had actually spent 19 and a half days since they had set off until now. They had been burying their heads in their journey without rest and sleep. However, even though the journey was long, he had obtained 6 marquee-level ferocious beast blood essences. It was all worth it. Right now, the last 2 marquee-level ferocious beast blood essences needed to refine 2 level. 22 pellets were all in Phoenix Bloodstar Zone. Big brother, I've been away from this place for more than 1,000 years. Even the 2 small forbidden areas in the starry sky have changed a lot in the past 1,000 years, not to mention the Phoenix Bloodstar area that is 50 million miles away. After stopping, the green ox turned to look at Xian. He was obviously nervous. Perhaps this was the feeling of being close to home, even if there were no more descendants of his bloodline in this familiar space. Chapter 4250. You're familiar with this place, so I'll leave this matter to you. Xian nodded and turned to look around. Finally, he raised his hand and pointed an abandoned planet in the void to his right. With a flash of his body, he shot over. Be careful not to be exposed. If you can't capture an undying being, even a sector lord or a domain lord will do. Of course, it's best if it's an undying being. The information of an undying being is obviously more reliable. As he finished speaking, his figure had already disappeared and entered the abandoned planet in front of him. The green ox did not say much. He concealed the aura in his body as much as possible. After that, he turned around and carefully approached the void of the universe in front of him. After entering the void that was only 10 million miles away from the edge of the forbidden land of Phoenix Blood, in order to prevent accidental exposure, the green ox did not continue forward. Using the cover of an abandoned planet, he lay dormant there. Fortunately, only half a day later, an ordinary undying level ferocious beast leader passed by with 2 universe-old monsters. Green Ox launched a thunderous attack, killing the 2 universe-old monsters and capturing the other ordinary undying level ferocious beast leader alive. Green Ox did not dare stay for long and quickly whipped the other ordinary undying level ferocious beast. He turned around and returned to the abandoned planet where Xian lay dormant. After searching the soul of this undying level ferocious beast leader, the green ox immediately fell into silence. The expression on his face was very unnatural, and he was speechless for a moment. Xian could not be bothered to ask more. He directly attacked and searched the soul of this ferocious beast leader once. After he was done, he waved his hand and blasted the ferocious beast leader's body into pieces. He sent it into the Xianxia cauldron in his body and condensed it into an undying level blood essence. After all, this was an undying being, so he could not waste it casually. At this moment, he already knew why the green ox was so depressed. Actually, Xian had already expected this before he came here. In more than 1,000 years, the green ox, who was only at the peak of the 9th level of the undying level back then, had leaped to become a 7th level commander with the cultivation base of the conferred marquee level. How could his immediate superior still be the same? What if he stayed in the conferred lord realm? That guy was already at the peak of the middle stage of the marquee immortal realm back then. Now that 1,000 years had passed, he was already an Emperor-level Beast King. Although he had just broken through 200 years ago and was only at the first stage of the Emperor level now, he was far stronger than the Green Bull. Great realms could not be mentioned in the same breath. Of course, the Ox had probably expected this. As a result, the reason why he was in such low spirits was not because his superior had successfully become a titled king and become a ferocious beast commander. The one that truly struck a heavy blow to the Azure Bull was its only son, the true culprit that caused the Azure Bull to leave its home and bear the infamy of colluding with the enemy. And all the descendants of its bloodline were annihilated back then. That fellow's cultivation base was even lower than the Green Bull's. He was only at the 8th level of the sempiternal realm. But now, after more than 1,000 years, the Green Ox's cultivation base had reached the 7th level of the Marquis Immortal realm. This originally made him rather proud. After all, it was the result of more than 1,000 years of painstaking cultivation. But in fact, the guy whose cultivation base was not as strong as his back then had now surpassed the youth, reaching the 8th level of the Marquis Immortal realm, a small level higher than the Green Ox. With another breakthrough, he would be at the peak of the 9th level. The reason for this was clearly because the young man's immediate superior had successfully broken through to the Emperor level and become a ferocious beast king. He had taken care of his only son. To put it bluntly, the situation before them was actually a grassroots competing with a rich second generation, only to be slapped in the face. All right, he has an Emperor-level father and is the only son. It's normal for him to cultivate faster than you. Seeing the Green Ox's depressed expression, Xianxia was speechless. He rolled his eyes and continued. Isn't it just a Marquis level 8? What's the big deal? Even his father is only at the 1st level of the Emperor level. At most, I'll help you kill them all. Don't. As soon as Xianxia's words fell, the Green Ox immediately raised his head, his eyes shining brightly again. I don't care about the other ferocious beasts, but please leave these two to me. If I don't kill them myself, I'll be letting down the Oxhead beauties and Oxhead descendants who were slaughtered back then. Stop. Hearing this old guy mention the Oxhead beauties again, Xianxia felt a chill in his heart and quickly stopped him. He shrugged and said, All right, you'll break through to the Emperor level soon anyway. Killing the young ones won't be a problem. Even the old ones, as long as you work hard, you'll break through to the 2nd level of the Emperor level in a short time. But it's not completely impossible. When the time comes, you'll naturally have the ability to kill your nemesis. Speaking of this, Xianxia seemed to have suddenly thought of something. His expression instantly turned solemn as he frowned slightly. However, the situation in the forbidden land of Phoenix Blood is a bit complicated. Not only has the territory expanded, but the number of planets with life has also increased from 6 to 700 to over 800 now. Even the ferocious beast commanders at the official level are close to 50 now. Of course, these aren't important. The most important thing is the ferocious beast kings at the Emperor level. At this point, Xianxia sighed. In the past, there were only 2 undyings here, but now there are 4 of them. In the past 1,000 years, other than your direct superior, there was actually another conferred Marquis commander who successfully broke through to the conferred Emperor realm. A total of 4 emperors. Even if 2 of them are only at the 1st level of the Emperor level, no matter how weak they are, they're still emperors. Facing 4 emperors, it'll be fine if everything goes smoothly from now on. But if there's an accident that alarms these 4 fellows, I'll have to fight one against 4. And 2 of them are in the middle stage of the Emperor level. Their cultivation levels are higher than mine. This will definitely lead to disaster. Green Ox clearly understood this point. His mood was so low because, other than the blow he received, to a certain extent, it was also because he was frightened by the 4 emperors. Now that Xianxia pointed out this matter directly, Green Ox immediately hesitated. After hesitating for a while, he said bashfully, It seems that we can't take down such a middle-level forbidden land yet. If that's the case, there's no need for us to go to the Bimeng Forbidden Land anymore. Why don't we look around, see if there are any small forbidden lands in the surrounding areas? What he meant was that he planned to do his best to bully the small forbidden lands in which there were only Marquis level undyings. Just this little bit of ambition made Xian speechless. Chapter 42:51. Boss, do you have a way to bring me away from the encirclement of 4 emperors? Hearing Xian's words, Green Bull's eyes gleamed, and he immediately became excited. Is this true? Those are 4 emperors. It's not like you haven't seen them before. Back then, you, the space blood crocodile, and that black bug attacked me at the same time. I'm also an official level, but didn't I escape in an instant? Seeing his suspicion, Xian rolled his eyes. I think you didn't even find a single trace of me back then. I'll tell you the truth, I have an escape technique. Even if space is sealed, I can instantly leave at least tens of billions of miles of space. Space, not to mention emperors. Even emperors wouldn't be able to chase after me. That's right. Old Ox actually forgot about this after being reminded by Xian. The green ox instantly became excited. At that time, you disappeared in an instant without leaving a single trace behind. There was no way to track you down, and even if you wanted to, there was no way to track you down. At that time, you even angered this old ox to the point of choking. Speaking to this point, he paused and grinned, continuing, if that's the case, we can change our hunting plan a little. Since we only need to kill 2 emperors, if we split it into 2, we'll lure them out one by one. Since that's the case, why not infiltrate the enemy camp and kill the 2 official level Undyings? Then, before the 4 emperor level Undyings react, you can use your heavenly movement technique to bring me an escape. This way, we can do it again. That way, we only need to attack once, and the chances of being exposed will be lowered to the lowest. Xian naturally understood this logic. However, Green Bull's plan was easy to say, but it was extremely difficult to execute. Not to mention other things, just encountering 2 emperors in the same life star was not something that could be controlled by humans. There were already more than 800 life stars in the forbidden land of Phoenix Blood. If Xian and the Green Ox only hunted ordinary immortal level beasts, then this matter would naturally be simple. Within these 800 or so life stars, each life star had more than 2 ordinary immortal level beasts overseeing it. Xian didn't even need to deliberately choose one to enter. As long as he attacked, he would be able to kill more than 2 immortal level beasts at the same time. Normal Undying level leaders could be killed instantly. However, if the target was an official immortal rank ferocious beast commander, the difficulty would instantly increase countless times. This was because every official immortal rank ferocious beast commander ruled over more than 20 life stars that basically stayed in their own nest and rarely came out. To capture a life star with 2 Undying level leaders at the same time, one could only rely on luck and wait. Frowning, Xian immediately pointed out this point. Unexpectedly, after Green Bull heard this, not only did the smile on his face not disappear, but became even wider. There was even a hint of wretchedness, which confused Xian. Boss, the situation you're worried about isn't a problem at all. Green Bull grinned and continued mysteriously. Dragon nature is lustful. Boss, you must have heard of this saying, right? In fact, even some alternative dragon beasts with true dragon blood flowing in their bodies are the same. Among the more than 40 Undying level leaders in the forbidden land of Phoenix Blood, there's such an existence. That guy's a blood subdragon. His cultivation level was at rank 3 Undying level 1 over 1,000 years ago. From his soul search just now, after 1,000 years of cultivation, his current cultivation level has already reached rank 9 Undying level. Perfect. However, in front of you, a rank 3 Undying level emperor. He's just a piece of cake. You can kill him instantly. This blood subdragon had a bad habit back then. The old female dragon is a slut. Every once in a while, she would need to have sex. The other Undying level leaders in the forbidden land of Phoenix Blood all had this kind of relationship with her. This matter is within the forbidden land of Phoenix Blood. It's no longer a secret among the Undying level leaders. Otherwise, this old bull wouldn't have known about this back then. Judging from the information I got from the soul searching just now, this flirtatious old female dragon left her nest just 3 months ago. She snuck into a life star guarded by an old lover and fooled around for a few days. If nothing unexpected happens, she should come out of her nest again in the next few days. No matter which old lover's nest she goes to, the other party's identity is certain. He must be an undying level leader. This old bull, I can guarantee that ordinary, undying level leaders won't be able to resist. The leader of the rot level, ferocious beasts can't withstand her torment at all. At this point, Green Ox smiled proudly. This way, won't the opportunity of two marquee gathering in one place appear easily? As long as we keep an eye on this slut and make our move when she comes out of her nest to meet with her old lover, I guarantee that nothing will happen. Fail. There's such a thing? After he finished speaking, Yixian was so shocked that his eyes widened. At the same time, he felt extremely disgusted, and the feeling in his heart instantly became strange. Originally, it was a good hunt, but in the blink of an eye, it became an adulterous affair. The scene changed too quickly, and for a moment, it was hard for him to accept. However, although it felt strange, this was indeed a good opportunity. Just as the Green Bull said, if they were to lure and kill them one by one, although the number of two undying level leaders wasn't a lot, there were only over 40 undying level leaders in this forbidden land of Phoenix blood, and every one of them had a high position and power. Although Yixian had the powerful battle strength of a level 3 undying level leader, he could hide in the dark and make a sudden move when the opponent was caught off guard. Even if it was a level 3 undying level leader, he was extremely confident that he could kill him instantly. However, the moment the Emperor aura burst out, no matter how fast it was hidden, the chances of it being caught by an opponent of the same level was very high. This way, although he could guarantee that the first move would be foolproof, whether there would be a second chance was really hard to say. It was hard to say. No one dared to guarantee it. This way, it was better to let loose, not care about the risk of being exposed, and use all his strength to kill two undying level leaders at the same time. It was more reliable. Thinking about this, Yixian didn't hesitate anymore. He clenched his teeth and immediately made the decision. Anyway, it's just one move. Once I succeed, I'll immediately retreat. So what if it's awkward? I'll go all out and do it. That's right, this is how it should be. Chapter 4252. The inferior blood G-Dragon's lair was located at the edge of the forbidden land of Phoenix blood. Yixian and the Green Ox didn't conceal themselves, but they restrained their cultivation auras to the Realm Lord level. This level of strength was neither high nor low among the beasts of the Forbidden Land. They didn't care about those above Undying level and didn't dare to provoke those below Sector Lord level. They were the most suitable. Apart from that, even the appearance of the Green Bull had changed. Yixian was still in the form of a space berserk ape because there were many space berserk apes in this forbidden grounds. However, it was impossible for the Green Ox. His ox children and all the ox-headed beauties had been annihilated all those years ago. If a green ox were to suddenly appear within this restricted area in the starry sky at this moment, then the effect would probably be no different than a firefly in the night, and it would instantly draw over. Countless gazes would be attracted. Helpless, the old fellow could only shake his body and transform into a starry sky berserk ape that had a similar cultivation and figure as Yixian. However, the fur on its body was green. After ascertaining that there were no flaws, the two of them swaggered all the way to the edge of the subblood G-Dragon's nest star and laid in wait. After patiently waiting for 3 days, the female dragon in the green cow's mouth finally appeared. Before they could see her figure, Yixian and the green cow were already keenly aware of the scent of spring. The two exchanged glances and smiled awkwardly. They immediately became alert. Soon, a figure dashed out of the atmosphere of the planet ahead. This figure wasn't very huge, only around 300 meters tall. However, the aura in his body was shocking. He had reached the pinnacle of the 9th level of the Marquee level. It was 2 small stages stronger than the Green Ox, and 3 small stages stronger than Yixian in his normal state. However, on one hand, it was because Yixian and the Green Ox didn't deliberately conceal themselves. On the other hand, it was because the sub-blood dragon was currently in a rutting state. Furthermore, it was in its own lair, so its vigilance was very low. She didn't notice anything unusual. As soon as he emerged from the atmosphere of the star where the lair was situated, he immediately shot forth toward the space to his right. Looks like this rascal went to find that arrow-tailed porcupine. All the good cabbages are eaten by pigs. Seeing the sub-blood G-Long charge out of the atmosphere and directly fly towards the space to the right, the green ox curled its lips. The words that came out of its mouth were clearly filled with a thick sense of jealousy. It immediately stunned Xianxia, who was at the side. This old fellow was clearly interested in her as well. It seemed that other than the ox-head beauty, he also liked other types of beasts. Perhaps as long as it was a female, it would not be a problem. That youth back then wasn't even an official level, yet he dared to target the level 3 sub-blood G-Long. One could see that this fellow wasn't just a little lustful. Also, what do you mean by all good cabbages are eaten by pigs? Let's not talk about whether the sub-blood dragon was a good cabbage, but even if it was, why would a cow look down on a pig so much? This logic was a little messy. Xianxia was absolutely certain that if the immemorial porcupine was here, it would definitely fight him to the death with just a few words. Since they had already confirmed their destination, the two weren't in a rush. Because according to the green ox, the female dragon that had disappeared a long time ago would have a private meeting with her lover for at least a few days. It was enough for Xianxia and him to rush over. They had arrived at their destination. When it said this, the green ox's tone was even more jealous. Hearing this, Xianxia was drunk and completely speechless. A day later, the two finally arrived at the lair of the arrow-tailed porcupine. When they were still a few 100,000 miles away from this star, Xianxia caught the thick scent of lust in the air. There was even a faint smell of pig. Most likely, the forbidden beasts on the star ahead were mostly the bloodline of the arrow-tailed porcupine. They were mainly from the bloodline of the arrow-tailed porcupine. A dragon, even if it was a sub-blood, would sneak into an extremely large pigsty to have sex. There was probably no one else who could do such a thing. Xianxia felt strange. Beside him, the green ox kept sighing, his face full of resentment. We're here. The adulterous couple is doing something. Once we enter the interior of the star, we can immediately take action. On the side, the green ox gnashed his teeth as if he had a deep grudge. He turned around and looked at Xianxia. That arrow-tailed porcupine inside is so lazy that no one can compare to him. Back then, he was already at the first level of the Immortal Marquis realm. It hasn't even reached rank 6. In a while, I'll stop this dead pig. You first deal with that shameless wench, then attack the dead pig. This was the best plan. Even though the green ox could also kill the arrow-tailed porcupine, it was only a rank lower than him. The battle would definitely take a long time. This was obviously unacceptable. Hence, in this battle, he could only stop the arrow-tailed porcupine and prevent it from escaping. To this, Xianxia didn't say anything. Those who could do more work, safety was the most important. After nodding, the two entered the atmosphere of the life star in the form of space berserk apes. Looking around, as expected, most of the forbidden beasts were arrow-tailed porcupines or other mutated beasts with the blood of porcupines flowing in their veins. However, there were other races of space beasts as well, including space berserk apes. Hence, Xianxia and the green ox's arrival didn't attract much attention. At this time, after entering the atmosphere, the sub-blood G-Long's energy instantly became dense and clear. Other than that, there was another aura of an Immortal Marquis. However, it was much weaker. After locking onto the location, Xianxia didn't hesitate and immediately shot over. In a flash, he appeared above the space a few thousand miles away from the sub-blood G-Long. 9 transformation of Demon Ape. 6th transformation. An explosive roar came out of his mouth. Xianxia's starry sky berserk ape's body was like a balloon that was being blown up as it rapidly expanded. Moo! On the side, the green ox, who had been suppressing his anger for a long time, raised his head and roared. He revealed his true form, 100,000 zhang tall, and charged towards a huge valley below. Just as he moved, Xianxia had already completed the 6th transformation of the devil ape's bloodline ability. from the first to the sixth transformation. Even if he activated them one by one, it would only take 6 breaths of time. Now, Yixian activated them all at the same time. In just 4 breaths of time, his body had already expanded to 10 million zhang tall. The aura in his body soared like a rocket to rank 3 Emperor Immortal from the world level he had been hiding before. Roar. Chapter 4253. In the valley, a pitch-black arrow-tailed porcupine was having sex with a subblood dragon that had appeared earlier. The two of them maintained their sizes of about 1,000 feet as they fought intensely. What made Yixian completely speechless was that the fat arrow-tailed porcupine was actually being pressed down while the relatively slender subblood dragon was riding on it. It was pouncing on its wings while moving up and down. The scene was rather obscene. These two fellows immediately sensed the arrival of Yixian and the Green Ox. Their originally intense movements came to a halt in the blink of an eye as they turned to look at the sky above. In the next moment, the expressions of the subblood dragon and the arrow-tailed porcupine changed drastically at the same time as they cried out in shock. Third stage Regis Emperor? This is impossible. Green Ox. It's that damn Green Ox. It's actually not dead yet. Boom. Before the cries of surprise could end, Yixian's punch had already landed. He directly blasted the subblood dragon and the arrow-tailed porcupine, who were still connected together, into a bloody mist that quietly dispersed. At the side, the Green Ox, who was about to intercept the arrow-tailed porcupine, was stunned on the spot. It was shocked by the terrifying power of Yixian's punch and was dumbfounded. Whoosh! With a casual wave of his hand, the bloody mist that was spreading in the sky above the valley was split into 2. Immediately after, Yixian wrapped it into his body and sent it into the Shinnon cauldron space to begin the blood essence condensation. Boom! Almost at the same time, the atmosphere of this life star instantly exploded. Even the entire life star was torn apart, emitting a terrifying thunderous sound that shook the heavens and earth. Under the sudden envelopment of this terrifying aura, at least 60% of the countless ferocious beasts in the forbidden grounds in the atmosphere died. They were all torn apart by the raging wind created by the explosion of the planet's atmosphere. Screech! Roar! Who dares to attack the commander of the forbidden Phoenix Bloodground? That's the young man from back then? As the planet and atmosphere exploded at the same time, countless pieces of flesh and blood splattered. For figures appeared in the void of this life star at the same time, and incomparably cold roars and angry roars could be heard. It was a blood-red, weeping, blood-fiery phoenix. It was a crane-head azure one without a single strand of other feathers. Its entire body was covered in azure feathers, and there was only a hint of captivating red on the top of its head. These two birds were both middle-stage emperors. Apparently, they were the 2 veteran, ferocious beast kings of the Phoenix Blood Forbidden Land. As for the other 2, one was an insectoid, and the other was a coiled horn dragon goat. They were both early-stage emperors. Apparently, they had just become ferocious beast kings in the past 1,000 years. The 4 feral kings were descending too quickly. From the time Yixian used the 9 transformations of the demonic ape's bloodline ability to killing the subblood G-dragon and the arrow-tail porcupine with a single punch, it hadn't even been 3 breaths of time. He didn't expect that just as he put away the 2 separated blood mists of the fierce beasts, the 4 vicious beast kings would arrive. From the looks of it, it was fortunate that they found the opportunity to kill 2 marquee leaders at the same time. Otherwise, it would be impossible for Yixian and the Green Ox to split up and kill 2 marquee, level undyings in this forbidden land of Phoenix blood. At this moment, with the arrival of these 4 emperors, just the terrifying auras from their bodies gathered together and completely sealed the shattered planet beneath their feet and the surrounding space within 10 million miles. Even though Yixian was a 3rd-stage emperor, he could no longer teleport. As for Green Ox, who was only a 7th-stage emperor, there was no need to mention it. Even though they knew that Yixian had a heaven-defying technique that allowed him to ignore the sealing force of this space and escape with him, they had not realized it yet. At this moment, in the distant space, for powerful emperors were heading in their direction. Staring, locking on with their auras, they were like tigers eyeing their prey. Therefore, the green ox's heart trembled as it directly tucked its tail between its legs and shrunk its neck. It didn't even dare to snort as it pitifully looked at Yixian. The expression on its face was simply pitiful, as if it was afraid that Yixian would throw it at him. It was as though he was trying to escape by himself. Don't worry. I'm not like you. If I say I'll bring you away safely, I'll definitely do it. Seeing this fellow's pitiful expression, Yixian instantly guessed what he was thinking. He rolled his eyes and grumbled. Hearing his words, the weeping blood fire phoenix, who was the strongest out of the 4 ferocious beast kings eyeing them from the surrounding space, who was already a 6th-stage emperor, which was equivalent to a pinnacle middle-stage emperor and was only 1 step away from the late-stage emperor, immediately started mocking him. Ferocious ape, you're already in this state, and you still want to escape with this damn green ox? I really don't know who gave you the confidence. Today, even you will have to stay behind. Although his words were arrogant, it was not a bluff. At least from the current situation, it was indeed so. Yixian's 3rd-stage emperor might not be weak, but there were 4 other emperors of the same level around him. Even if 2 of them were early-stage ferocious beast kings and were slightly weaker than him, the other 2 were both middle-stage emperors. Both of them were mid-level Venerable Realm Masters, and killing a 3rd-order Venerable Realm Master was a piece of cake. There was no suspense at all. Xiao. Yixian did not care at all. After rolling his eyes, he waved his hand and summoned the Farmer God Cauldron from his undying world. At the same time, he reminded Green Ox, hurry up and go in. I'm retreating. Green Ox had been waiting for this moment. The moment it saw the Farmer God Cauldron, which was controlled to a height of 3,000 feet, appear, it immediately became excited. Its body swayed, and its huge body shrunk at a speed visible to the naked eye, entering the mist in the blink of an eye. The 9-colored mist at the mouth of the Farmer God Cauldron disappeared. At the same time, the 4 emperors who were watching covetously from the surrounding space exclaimed at the same time, "That bastard is actually escaping? Attack immediately! The Farmer God Cauldron. It's actually the legendary primordial treasure, the Farmer God Cauldron. Stop him and take that cauldron." An artifact of the era that only exists in legends. Who would have thought that it would be real and appear before our eyes? Roar. Amidst the earth-shattering roars, the 4 ferocious beast kings attacked almost at the same time. The vast space within 10 million miles of them completely froze at this moment. Unfortunately, Yixian could no longer see what happened next. Just as Green Ox turned into a faint light and entered the mouth of the Farmer God Cauldron, he waved his hand and put away the cauldron. At the same time, he ordered the devouring system in his body to immediately activate the interstellar coordinate jump ability. Order. Chapter 4254. Whoosh. Along with the faint sound of something breaking through the air, an undetectable light flashed in the air where Yixian was originally standing. His figure instantly disappeared without a trace. Boom. Rumble. It was only then that the attacks of the 4 ferocious beast kings in the surrounding void finally arrived, but they all missed and were completely ineffective. The scene was so unexpected that the 4 feral kings were caught off guard. As their faces paled in shock, cries of shock and disbelief filled their voices echoed at once. What? He vanished just like that? What technique is that? It's definitely not teleportation. There's no sign of spatial energy ripples, but his figure clearly vanished in an instant. Damn it, I can't even deduce where to start tracking him. What secret technique is that? It's too heaven-defying. What a pity for that cauldron, a treasure of the primordial era, to be lost just like that. Blue Ox. That damn Blue Ox is actually still alive. See, wasn't I right all those years ago? If he hadn't secretly contacted other intermediate forbidden zones, how could he have risen to rank 7 Marquis Immortal in just over 1,000 years? The last sentence came from the coiled horn dragon goat, who was a rank 2 Immortal Emperor. This fellow was the ferocious beast commander that the youth had pledged his loyalty to, and he had harmed Blue Ox for his only son. In just over 1,000 years, his only son had grown to late-stage Marquis Immortal, and he himself had broken through a major realm to become a ferocious beast king. Even so, he still panicked when he suddenly saw Blue Ox again today, and there was even a hint of fear in his heart. The reason was actually very simple. As far as he was concerned, even though it was only a form of slander when it was said that the Green Bull had secretly colluded with other mid-grade Forbidden Grounds, it had clearly turned this sort of slander into reality after it fled. Today, he brought a third-level, undying, ferocious Beast King back to Phoenix Blood Starfield. It was definitely not just to kill the two ferocious beast commanders, the Subblood G-Dragon and the Arrowtail Porcupine, for no reason. Back then, Green Bull and these two marquee, level, undying, ferocious beasts, there was no enmity between them. In fact, Blue Ox had secretly fantasized about Blue Ox many times back then. Judging from the current situation, Blue Ox's purpose was clearly to demonstrate his dominance. That fellow had gone mad. Killing Blue Ox, who he had secretly fantasized about for years, was clearly a deliberate show of determination. His determination to take revenge for what had happened back then. Blue Ox's own cultivation was naturally unable to do that. But since this fellow had a rank 3 ferocious beast king by his side, it meant that he must have made a name for himself in that unknown intermediate forbidden zone. Otherwise, why would a rank 3 ferocious beast king follow him to Phoenix Blood Starfield to do such a boring thing? Normally, a mid-level space forbidden land with Emperor-level undyings would definitely not have just one Emperor as their pinnacle strength. Hence, if Green Bull managed to convince two Emperors to attack him in the dark, he would be able to do so. Blue Ox, with his rank 2 Immortal Emperor cultivation base, would die without a doubt. Even though he was one of the 4 titled kings of the forbidden land of Phoenix Blood, he was still the weakest among them. Once another powerful, mid-level forbidden land of Phoenix Blood decided to kill him, the other 3 ferocious beast kings of the forbidden land of Phoenix Blood had to consider the overall situation. In the face of benefits and benefits, they might not necessarily fight to the death to ensure his safety. As these thoughts flashed through his mind, the coiled horn dragon goat completely panicked, almost jumping and roaring in the void. Flustered and exasperated, he said, "We must find that damned ox. Find him, and we can find that rank 3 violent ape." The Xianxia Cauldron is an era treasure of the primordial era, and its significance is extraordinary. "Everyone, are you willing to give it up just like that?" He was clearly forcing the other 3 immortals to express their stance. In fact, these 3 immortals were indeed unwilling to give up on an era treasure of the primordial era. Hence, even though they all saw through the coiled horn dragon goat scheme, after exchanging a few glances, they all nodded and agreed with the former's words. Give the order. Leave half of the marquee-level ferocious beast commanders and undying ferocious beast leaders in Phoenix Blood Starfield. The rest are to move out immediately and start searching. Focus on the intermediate forbidden zones in the nearby starfield. Don't alert the enemy, just search in secret. No matter what, we must find that Blue Ox and confirm the whereabouts of the Xianxia Cauldron. As these orders were given, Phoenix Blood Starfield, which had more than 800 life stars and occupied a vast territory in the universe, was instantly mobilized. More than 50 marquee and undying ferocious beast commanders. More than 1,000 undying ferocious beast leaders. In an instant, half of them formed their own teams and led even more ferocious beasts below the immortal realm to charge in all directions of the forbidden land of Phoenix Blood. They began a large-scale exploration of the starry skies. Xiao. A faint air-piercing sound was heard, accompanied by an almost undetectable flash of light. The next moment, Yi Xian's figure quietly appeared, still in the form of the raging star ape that was more than 10 feet tall. Looking around, he quickly determined where he was now. It was the Mulberry Starfield where the first interstellar jump coordinates had been imprinted on this universe's plane. Not long ago, Yi Xian led the Mulberry Starfield's remnant tribe and the entire captive army away from here, heading to the small forbidden zone ruled by Blue Ox. It took him a long time to get there. But now, although he returned to Mulberry Starfield with the interstellar jump coordinates, It wouldn't take too long for him to go to the small forbidden zone again. Once he activated the 9-demon ape transformation and entered the 6th transformation, he would be able to become an undying emperor. With the support of the undying rank 3 strength, he would need at most 2 days to reach there. However, Yixian didn't plan to rush back immediately. He decided to stay in Mulberry's starfield and condense the level 22 pill that he urgently needed soon. After making his decision, a light flashed in Yixian's eyes. With a wave of his hand, he directly summoned the Shinnon Cauldron. Then, with a thought, Blue Ox, who had entered the Farmer God Cauldron earlier, turned into a beam of light and rushed out of the Farmer God Cauldron's mouth. Moo. As soon as the figure appeared, Blue Ox let out a dissatisfied moo. To him, it had only been a few breaths of time since he entered the Farmer God Cauldron. This old fellow was planning to explore inside, but before he could raise his hooves, he was forcefully expelled. Chapter 42:55. A level 22 pill. Upon hearing Yixian's words, the green ox's eyes lit up. It swayed its tail and ran to Yixian, drooling as it asked, "Is this what you said earlier? It can make a level 9 pinnacle conferred marquee become a level 9 pinnacle conferred marquee for a short period of time after consuming it? A treasure pill that can immediately break through the bottleneck of a large realm and become an undying emperor? Why are you still asking if you know?" Yixian rolled his eyes and warned again, "Go to the side and watch. Don't let anything disturb me. This kind of treasure pill requires 5 marquee-level ferocious beast blood essences to refine. We only have 10 now. If I'm disturbed and one is spoiled, then it's on you." Moo. Upon hearing this, the green ox stomped its hooves and stood up in shock. "Don't worry, boss. If anyone dares to come within 5 million miles of me during the refinement, I'll immediately kick them to death." With that, it turned around and rushed toward the void in the distance. From 5 million miles away, it raised its hooves and spun in circles, as if it was patrolling until it saw the treasure pill. Whoosh! In the next instant, Yixian did a somersault and arrived at the mouth of the Farmer God Cauldron, which was shrouded in 9-colored fog, and sat down cross-legged. With a flip of his hand, 10 blood essence beads the size of nascent soul fists appeared in his right palm. These 10 blood essence beads would be used together with the last bit of flesh and blood essence refined from the remains of the quasi-primordial almighty Luan Phoenix treasure body to form Yixian's refinement this time. The basic ingredients for the level 22 pill. Of course, apart from these 2 basic ingredients, according to the formula of the level 22 liquid that Yixian deduced, he would also add a large amount of top-grade precious herbs, as well as about 10 drops of all evil origin liquid and other top-grade resources. Yixian's experience in the concoction of the gene cultivation liquid had already made one's hair stand on end. Previously, he had even refined a level 21 pill. Therefore, he was very confident in refining a level 22 pill this time. With 10 immortal rank fierce beast blood essences and all kinds of top-quality resources, he was more than 80% sure that he could concoct 2 level 22 pills at once. Even the possibility of 3 treasure pills appearing was more than 50%. After all, he was the one who was at the top earlier. During the second refinement, he used 5 immortal rank vicious beast blood essences to create 2 level 21 pills. 10 marquee immortals could basically guarantee the refinement of 2 rank 22 pills. However, 2 wasn't a fixed number, 3 or 4 were possible. Of course, the probability of 4 appearing was less than 20%. Out of caution, Yixian analyzed the level 22 pill formula that he had already deduced and carefully reviewed twice. After confirming that there were no mistakes, he waved his hand and prepared all the resources and all kinds of top-grade precious materials and medicines needed for the formula. "I'm ready." Then he closed his eyes inside the Shinnon Cauldron at the bottom of the volcano in the central domain. Xiao, 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 xiao. Faint sounds of breaking through the air rang continuously. Rays of light shot out from the mouth of the cauldron above the central region volcano and appeared directly above the flame pool at the bottom of the volcano. They suddenly paused and hovered. It was Yixian refining the level 22 pill for this time. All kinds of top-grade materials and cultivation resources prepared for the level 22 pill. All that was left was the flesh and blood pulp made from the remains of the Luanfeng bird of the quasi-desolate age. 10 immortal rank vicious beasts' blood essences. 10 drops of all evil origin liquid. And all kinds of top-grade precious materials and medicines that were so rare that it made one's hair stand on end. Whoosh. The next instant, below all the resources, a majestic Shinong 7-colored flame roared up from the flame pool at the bottom of the central region volcano. It instantly condensed into a 7-colored cauldron that was about 3 meters in radius. It was small and simple, and it emitted an extraordinary aura. As this small flame cauldron formed purely from the Shinong 7-colored flames took shape, the blood essence and other materials that had been prepared beforehand all flew up automatically and entered this small flame cauldron that was only a few feet wide. From then on, the level 22 pill refinement officially began. A level 22 pill was enough to make a level 9 immortal rank pinnacle immortal become an emperor in an instant. This kind of resource was unimaginable to the major clans and top forces in the 3 main planes of the starry skies. In fact, the level 20 elixir that could make an undying old monster was already enough to make them go crazy, let alone a level 22 pill that could make an emperor. Adding on the various top-tier resources prepared for the refinement of the level 22 pill, just the 10 blood essences of the marquee immortal rank beasts were extremely hard to obtain. Hence, Yixian was especially solemn this time. He put all his focus on controlling everything. He performed one pill refinement technique after another, transforming them into obscure and mysterious runes that floated from the mouth of the Shinong cauldron and fell into the central region volcano below. Inside the energy cauldron at the bottom, as far as he was concerned, there was absolutely no room for failure in this refinement. Time slowly ticked by. Boom! After an unknown amount of time, a huge roar suddenly sounded above the flame pool at the bottom of the flame pool in the central domain. The cauldron formed by the pure Shinong 7-colored flames instantly dispersed, and a stream of 7-colored flames flowed out like a great river. Whoosh! Roaring, it rushed back to the flame pool below. Above the flame pool were 3 round beads the size of an infant's fist. Although they were the same size as the blood essence from before, they were completely different. The blood essence was blood red in color and emitted a dense blood energy. As for these 3 beads, although they were also the size of nascent soul fists, they were suffused with rainbow colors. There was a layer of incomparably dreamy light on their surface, and they emitted an ancient and heavy aura. A level 22 pill. It could allow an official level 9 pinnacle undying to break through to Emperor level 22 in a short period of time after swallowing it, a treasure pill. There are actually 3. The moment the treasure pills were out of the cauldron, Yixian's voice sounded from the mouth of the Shinong cauldron above the central region volcano. It was filled with a strong sense of surprise. Originally, he thought it would be considered good if he could successfully refine 2 level 22 pills this time. He was even mentally prepared to only get 1. After all, he didn't have much experience in refining treasure pills this way. At most, it was limited to the level 21 pill from before. The possibility of unexpected situations happening was still very high. However, the final result was something that even he didn't dare to believe. Not only was the refinement extremely smooth, but he even got 3 level 22 pills in the end. This was definitely a shocking surprise. Chapter 4256. Yixian had originally planned to store the 3 level 22 pills in a small, high-grade spatial bottle. He wanted to keep them in his undying world as soon as possible to prevent any loss of medicinal efficacy. However, a muffled sound of thunder suddenly came from the sky above his head. Looking up, he saw an extremely dense tribulation cloud condensing. He immediately understood and shook his head with a bitter smile. He had almost forgotten about this. How could there not be a pill tribulation for level 22 pills. However, this did not matter. Whether it was the pill tribulation or the heavenly tribulation that would descend after breaking through to the immortal realm, to Xian they no longer posed any threat. On the contrary, they had become a way to make himself stronger. This was a great opportunity. Although it was said that the more the better, the more the merrier, the more the merrier. This kind of opportunity to temper the body and cleanse the soul, Xian did not refuse. The more the merrier. Screech, after his heart relaxed. Xian raised his head and let out a fierce roar. He stood up, waved his hand, and put away the Shinnong cauldron under his feet. Then, he directly rushed towards the dense tribulation cloud that covered thousands of miles above his head. Rumble! Kacha! In an instant, an earth-shattering explosion of thunder sounded out, followed closely by an incomparably clear sound of lightning. A blazing lightning bolt that was over 30 meters thick instantly smashed down and landed on Xian's body. As for the 3-level, 22 pills that had just been refined, they were protected under his body. Of course, he could not completely protect them from the tribulation lightning. If that was the case, the pills would not be baptized by the lightning, and the medicinal efficacy would not be at its most perfect. What Xian was doing right now was only using his own treasure body to first filter the lightning tribulation that was smashing towards him before striking at the 3 treasure pills. Only in this way would he be able to ensure that the effects of the treasure pills would be better, and at the same time, no accidents would occur. Even the pill tribulation of level 22 pills could not cause much damage to him, who had been walking the path of body refinement, and whose physical body had long been tempered to an astonishing level. On the contrary, the cultivation power in his body would be stirred up again because of this wave of tribulation lightning. To Xian, this was exactly what he wanted. This time, he had refined 3-level 22 pills. If there were no accidents, the pill tribulation that would descend should also be 3 waves. What came crashing down today was only the first wave. This bolt of lightning was pale gold in color and was more than 10 feet thick. It completely submerged Xian's entire body. After all, it was a level 22 pill tribulation that could help a cultivator break through to the king-ranked realm. The destructive power contained in the tribulation lightning was extremely terrifying. Even with Ye's incomparably strong body, he was almost burnt on the outside and tender on the inside. Very quickly, this wave of tribulation lightning directly rushed out of his body after baptizing his body. Under the guidance of Xian's divine sense, it charged towards one of the 3-level 22 treasure pills that were floating in the air. In the blink of an eye, it struck the pill. At this moment, the pill, which originally had a weak pill halo and had an aura that was originally reserved, immediately released a dazzling glow. An aura unique to the king-ranked undying emanated from within and spread to the surrounding void thousands of miles away. Green Ox, who was rushing over because of the sudden surge of tribulation clouds, was stunned on the spot. His body trembled, and he stopped abruptly in the void. Immediately after, he seemed to have realized something. His eyes shone with an extremely intense light. He raised his forehooves and charged toward the area where Xian was undergoing the pill tribulation. He was so excited that it was as if he had just been injected with chicken blood. He cried out, "Moo! Boss, is this the rhythm of a successful refinement? I can smell the fragrance. This is definitely a supreme treasure pill that can help me become a king-ranked undying saint." Moo! Xian ignored this guy. With a wave of his hand, he took out a large amount of cultivation resources from the undying world in his body. This included 5 drops of all evil origin liquid, a purplish gold top-grade flesh medicine with a radius of 100 meters, and so on. Immediately after, all the cultivation resources were compressed by the power of the Shinnong cauldron's domain into a fist-sized pill. He swallowed it directly. The moment it entered his throat, these cultivation resources turned into a warm current that flowed along Xian's limbs and bones. They started to circulate rapidly. Hua! Hua la la! As this torrential energy circulated rapidly in Yixian's body, the sound of chains rattling could be heard from Yixian's body. This time, the shackles of human potential that appeared in his body were not just one but two. Ka-cha! Ka-cha! Almost at the next instant, two huge bolts of lightning struck down from the thick black tribulation clouds that covered the sky. This time, the last two waves of lightning struck at the same time. Roar! Yixian's eyes flashed. Instead of retreating, he roared angrily and leaped up to meet the lightning head-on. In the blink of an eye, the two waves of lightning entered his body and pushed the energy river that was circulating in his limbs and bones to refine rapidly. After half a breath, the two pill tribulation lightning bolts that had been purified rushed out of his body and struck the other two level 22 treasure pills below him. At this point, the tribulation of these three supreme pills was completely over. When the thick black tribulation clouds in the distant sky above his head dispersed, Lin Xian waved his hand. The clothes on his body, which had been destroyed by the tribulation lightning, instantly looked brand new. At this moment, the familiar sound of the system notification rang out in his mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host for breaking through the realm of the ancient Dongshu technique. Current realm. Level 6 Marquis, Immortal. Ding! Congratulations to the host for breaking through the realm of the physical bodies, qi, and blood. Current realm. Level 6 Marquis, Immortal. This was only the first sentence. As a result, two shackles had appeared within his body. As a result, before the breakthrough was complete, Yixian already knew that he'd received another rare 2 consecutive breakthroughs. As expected, the second system notification rang out very quickly. Ding! Congratulations to the host for breaking through the realm of the ancient Dongshu technique. Current realm. Level 7 Marquis, Immortal. Ding! Congratulations to the host for breaking through the realm of the physical body. Current realm. Level 7 Marquis, Immortal. Level 7 Marquis, Immortal was the late stage of this realm. Before this, Yixian's original body's cultivation had already reached the 5th order of the Marquis Immortal realm. Once he activated the 3-headed, 6-armed ancient demon ape bloodline, his strength would soar again, directly reaching the 6th order of the Marquis Immortal realm. If he used the 9-demon ape transformation and reached the 6th transformation, he would instantly reach level 3 Emperor Immortal. However, level 3 Emperor Immortal was only early Emperor Immortal. And now, as Yixian's original body once again broke through twice in a row, he advanced to the 7th level of the Marquis Immortal in one fell swoop. Once he activated the Devil Ape bloodline in his body and entered the 6th transformation of the Devil Ape. Chapter 42:57. The tribulation clouds dissipated, and the pill tribulation ended. Yixian's breakthrough this time also came to an end. Now, in his normal state, his cultivation level had reached the 7th level of the Marquis Immortal realm, the same level as the Green Ox. At this moment, because of the tribulation and breakthrough, he did not enter the 3-headed, 6-armed devil ape true form. It was the original form of a human. The Green Ox ignored all of this. Perhaps this old fellow had already guessed the reason, or perhaps his attention was completely attracted by the 3-level, 22 treasure pills under Yixian. In fact, the latter was more likely. At this moment, the Green Ox was staring at the 3 treasure pills under Yixian with its huge eyes that were emitting green light from time to time. Not only did it not look away, it did not even blink. That expression was simply like a love-struck fool, causing Yixian to feel a chill in his heart. After the pill tribulation ended, these 3-level, 22 pills that had undergone the baptism of the lightning tribulation were already shining brightly. Even a fool could tell that they were top-notch resources from the aura emitted from them. Whoosh! Whoosh whoosh! With a wave of his hand, Yixian took out 3 high-quality small space boxes from the undying world in his body. There was 1 pill in each box, and all 3-level, 22 treasure pills were put away. With a flip of his hand, they disappeared and were sent into the central region volcano in the Shennon Cauldron. in the sealed space at the bottom. A level 22 treasure pill could only be consumed when one's cultivation level reached the 9th level of the Marquee Immortal Realm. If one succeeded, one would be able to break through the bottleneck of a large realm in a short period of time and directly advance from the Marquee Immortal Realm to the Emperor Immortal Realm. Although there was a certain chance of failure, and he would need to consume a second level 22 treasure pill, the materials that Xianxia used to refine the treasure pill were all refined using the divine known 7-colored flames. This kind of strange flame originally had an extraordinary ability to increase the medicinal effect. Power. Therefore, the treasure pills refined by Xianxia, regardless of whether they were level 21 or level 22 pills, this situation would basically not appear. Right now, Xianxia and the Green Ox were only at the 7th level of the Marquee Immortal Realm. They were still a distance away from the 9th level of the perfection, so it was not suitable for them to consume them now. Keeping it in the spatial treasure bottle was the right thing to do. However, although the Green Ox knew this, the level 22 pill was too tempting for him. It was not an exaggeration to say that he dreamed of it. As a result, when he saw Xianxia directly put the 3 treasured pills away in a box, the old fellow panicked on the spot. He raised his hooves and was about to fight with Xianxia. "Moo, where did this little bastard come from? You actually dared to take away this bull's treasure pill. Take it out. Take it out immediately. Otherwise, this bull will fight you to the death." Who whoosh whoosh. As he spoke, the Green Ox had already raised his hooves in the void. He lowered his head, as if he could charge straight at Xianxia at any time. "Yo, I haven't seen you for a while, and you've grown a temper?" Xianxia sneered and did not say much. However, he gave the Green Ox a look that said he had to experience it himself. Hearing this, and especially after meeting Xianxia's cold gaze, the Green Ox immediately trembled and returned to his senses. "Boss, it's not that I'm excited, but this treasure pill is too important to me. I didn't even see it clearly, and you took it away. I'm anxious." After trembling for a moment, the Green Ox immediately changed its move and pitifully charged towards Xianxia. It stopped by his side and snorted. It seemed that it was indeed quite anxious. "Your cultivation is only at the 7th level of the Marquee Immortal Realm. What's the use of being anxious? Even if I throw one to you now, you can't swallow it." Xianxia rolled his eyes speechlessly and turned to leave. "If you're really anxious, you should first raise your cultivation to the 9th level of the Marquee Immortal Realm. My original body is also at the 7th level of the Marquee Immortal Realm. There are only 2 levels of difference. If nothing unexpected happens, I'll be able to break through within 2 months. By then, I'll have to swallow one first. As for you, I've already given you the flesh medicine I made. It's enough for you to reach the 9th level of the Marquee Immortal Realm. If you're really anxious, you can go back and cultivate in seclusion." "Moo, cultivate in seclusion. I want to cultivate in seclusion." When he heard that Xianxia would reach the 9th level of the Marquee Immortal Realm in 2 months, he would be able to swallow a level 22 treasure pill and raise his original body's cultivation to the Marquee Immortal Realm in one fell swoop. The Green Ox had obviously suffered quite a bit of stimulation. It raised its head and let out a wolf howl. Without any hesitation, it actually rushed in front of Xianxia and rushed towards a small forbidden area in the starry sky. Both of them were Marquee Immortals, and they were at the late stage of the Marquee Immortal Realm. When they used their full speed, they were naturally extremely fast. In just 2 days, the small forbidden area in the starry sky, which had become the temporary base camp of Xianxia's army, could be seen in the distance. It hadn't even been a month since Xianxia and the Green Ox left. Nothing unexpected happened in the base camp, and the hundreds of life stars were all very quiet. Whether it was the army of survivors or the army of captives, they were all on one life star after another. They were all in seclusion. Only a small number of battleships were left to patrol the void and be on alert. The Green Ox didn't stay any longer. He returned to the life star where he was originally stationed and entered seclusion immediately. With the light purple and gold flesh medicine given to him by Xianxia and the stubbornness of the old ox, he was able to cultivate in seclusion. Besides, it had been a long time since he reached the 7th level of the Marquis Immortal Realm. Therefore, although it was impossible for him to complete the 2 small breakthroughs before swallowing the level 22 treasure pill in 2 months, half a year was not a problem at all. As for Xian, he wasn't in a hurry to cultivate. After returning to the base camp, he entered the life star he had chosen immediately. He waved his hand and took out the Shinnon cauldron. He jumped into the cauldron and directly appeared at the bottom of the volcano in the central region to begin his seclusion. However, the purpose of his seclusion this time wasn't to cultivate. After all, he had just broken through 2 small levels because of the 3 waves of level 22 treasure pills. Even if he had a huge amount of top-notch cultivation resources, he could still push his cultivation strength up a few more small levels. However, doing so would be akin to spoiling the seedlings to help them grow. If it weren't for the situation, it wouldn't be necessary at all. The only purpose of Xian's seclusion this time was to deduce the perfect formula of the level 23 pill. Chapter 4258. Inside the Shinnon cauldron, at the bottom of the central region volcano, only Xian and Shi Wanjin, who hadn't woken up yet, were inside the central region volcano. As for Flying Centipede, Old Monster Inji, and the 8 Vajra, they were all in secluded cultivation in the mountain range of the cauldron. Their cultivation levels were not bad, but ever since they followed Xian into this corner of the desolate ancient world fragment and encountered a large number of powerful beasts, they were no longer strong enough. It was precisely because of this reason that Xian threw them into the cauldron after experiencing 2 great battles in the Mulberry Tree Star region. Even the demon cultivator scouts led by Gue, Hai Yidao, and Song Qingyu were the same. Their mission was to cultivate and break through. At the bottom of the central region volcano, Shi Wanjin was lying in a cage on a mountain wall far away. His aura was very weak. Xian had already treated him as a dead man and had completely forgotten about his existence. Xian sat cross-legged beside the flame pool on the bottom of the ground. He closed his eyes and entered a state of cultivation where he forgot about everything around him. However, he didn't cultivate. Instead, he fully activated the powerful divine sense of the late-stage Marquis Immortal Realm. Together with the devouring system in his body, he began to deduce the perfect formula of the level 23 pill. Unknowingly, his mind had been completely immersed in it. He had completely forgotten everything around him. He even forgot the existence of his own self. His mind was almost like an inertia cooperating with the devouring system in his body. Deduce with all his might. Time passed slowly. In the blink of an eye, 5 months had passed. In the past 5 months, Xian's figure hadn't even swayed once. Until now, his shoulders suddenly moved slightly as if he had passed away. Then his eyes, which had been tightly shut, slowly opened. A ghostly light flashed from the depths of his eyes as Xian's consciousness completely returned. After nearly 5 months of all-out deduction, the perfect pill formula for the level 23 pill that could help him become an immortal emperor in one fell swoop was finally successfully deduced. A level 23 pill could allow an Emperor level 9 pinnacle being to break through to Emperor level in a short time after consuming it. The pill formula was even more complicated than the level 22 pill. However, when Xian deduced it, he originally used the various resources in his hands to try and combine them. Therefore, the pill formula for the level 23 pill required all sorts of cultivation resources to refine it. It was simply a sea of resources. However, Xian basically had all of them. The only thing he lacked was the blood essence of an Emperor-level fierce beast. To make a cauldron of level 23 pills, he would need at least 5 pieces of Emperor-level fierce beast blood essence. The more blood essence he had, the more pills he would be able to make. For example, this time, he added 10 pieces of Emperor-level fierce beast blood essence of an Emperor-level fierce beast to make the level 22 pill. Blood essence, he unexpectedly made 3 level 22 pills. If nothing went wrong, using 10 Emperor-level beast blood essences to refine a cauldron of level 23 pills, if everything went smoothly, the number of level 23 pills he refined would very likely reach 3. Of course, if he only used 5, he could make 2 level 23 pills. However, the chances of making 2 would be even lower. However, to Yixian, it was meaningless to ponder about this now, because he didn't even have a single Emperor-level beast blood essence. He wasn't in a rush. He hadn't even consumed the level 22 pill. He still had plenty of time to make the level 23 pill. However, in the subsequent expeditions, they would have to start preparing for the blood essences of Emperor Immortals. After all, there were fewer Emperor Immortals than Marquis Immortals. They were harder to hunt. Previously, they had collected 10 Marquis Immortals. It was already so difficult. Now, he needed 10 Emperor-level beasts blood essence. The difficulty was obvious. It wasn't something that could be done in a day. He could only slowly accumulate them. 5 months have actually passed. After calming himself down, Yixian checked the time. This time, he had actually used a full 5 months of time to deduce the pill formula. This was the result of the previous 4 months, and only half of the pill formula was left. In other words, it took him almost 10 months to deduce the perfect pill formula for a mere level 23 pill. Thinking of this, Yixian couldn't help but shake his head and smile bitterly. This was only a level 23 pill. What about the level 24 pill used to break through to Emperor level? Wouldn't it take him more than a year just to deduce the pill formula? Furthermore, in this 1 year, he couldn't do anything. He had to focus all his attention, not sleep or rest, and deduce continuously. Thinking of this, even he couldn't help but sigh. This method of using gene cultivation fluid to train the body, tearing apart the shackles of the human body's potential, and pushing the evolution of life, although breaking through major realms was extremely fast, and after breaking through each major realm, the breakthroughs of the 9 minor realms were also very fast. Basically, as long as the accumulation of energy reached a certain level, one could smoothly break through. But not to mention other things, just the amount of mental energy needed to deduce the pill formula was a little outrageous. This was Yixian, who had a huge amount of resources, and all of them were rare top-notch resources. If it were anyone else, other than spending a large amount of time to deduce the pill formula, the amount of refining materials after deducing the pill formula would probably be enough to drive people crazy. It would directly drive them crazy. However, the world was like this. Everything was two-sided. After he sighed, he threw this matter to the back of his mind and gradually calmed down. Master, just as he stood up from the ground, a call suddenly sounded in his ears. It was filled with sincerity and respect, and it came from the right. Yixian was caught off guard and almost jumped in fright. As if it was a conditioned reflex, he subconsciously turned his head to look in the direction of the voice. Then, Shi Wanjin's figure appeared in his line of sight. At this time, this guy had already stood up and was in the cage of the mountain wall, not far away. He bowed slightly and looked at Yixian with extreme respect. Previously, when his Tao foundation had been snatched away and he was like a cripple, Yixian had already refined him with a mutated slave seal and taken him as a servant. The reason Yixian didn't kill this guy was, on one hand, because of the 9 Berserk Lion Transformation bloodline ability. On the other hand, it was because he had already been refined into a servant, so it was impossible for him to have any ill intentions towards Yixian. Therefore, at that time, Yixian threw some cultivation resources directly into his body, including a drop of all evil origin fluid. Chapter 4259. It's actually you. Not only have you woken up, but you've also undergone a rebirth and entered the universe grade. Yixian's eyes almost popped out of their sockets when he saw who had called out to him and sensed the faint cultivation aura of the other party. This fellow had only been at the universe grade before his Tao foundation had been stolen. He had been lying in this cage like a dead dog ever since and had been forgotten by the entire world. However, he now possessed the strength of a universe grade the moment he woke up. This was simply too shocking. It should be known that the 8 great guardian warriors, who had been slightly weaker than him in terms of cultivation base, were only universe grades now. How many resources had they spent following Yixian around? After all this time, they were still inferior to him. They didn't even need to cultivate. Instead, their cultivation had soared the moment they woke up. This was simply too shocking. If the 8 great guardian warriors knew about this, they would probably feel like they had nothing left to live for. Huh? It's actually the annihilation poison physique. After some investigation, Yixian immediately started searching through the information database of the engulfing system in his body. He soon found all kinds of information about Shi Wanjin that had just been updated. That's right, this fellow had indeed undergone a rebirth after his Dao Foundation had been stolen. Furthermore, his cultivation had indeed reached the universe grade that even Yixian couldn't believe. However, what really shocked Yixian was Shi Wanjin's physique. What was the annihilation poison physique? Yixian had never heard of it before. However, now that Shi Wanjin had woken up and was right in front of him, the engulfing system in his body immediately started investigating, identifying, and analyzing the annihilation poison physique. This was the explanation given for the physique. Although he didn't know what it was, he knew that it was definitely extraordinary and seemed to be quite powerful. Out of curiosity, Yixian immediately checked the description of the physique carefully and quickly understood. The annihilation poison physique was indeed extraordinary. Although it couldn't be compared to some extremely strong innate physiques, it was only an acquired physique because it was formed after a nirvana. However, among all the powerful acquired physiques, it was definitely one of the best. Not only would it allow one's cultivation base to rise very quickly, but more importantly, this type of physique also had the attributes of lightning body and poison body. It was simply a tyrannical and highly toxic substance that could not be touched. The reason for this was because Shi Wanjin's bloodline had absorbed a large amount of other energy during the process of his nirvanic rebirth. After his Dao Foundation was taken away, Yixian had thrown him into a cage at the bottom of the volcano in the central domain. Every time Yixian found something good, he would refine and purify it with the Shinong unusual flame in the central domain. Yes, among them, there were various types of energy. Basically, they were all toxins and impurities that had been expelled by the Shinong unusual flame. These things floated around, and each time, Shi Wanjin would absorb some of them. For example, after obtaining a large amount of sky centipede's poison from the flying centipede, Yixian had sent the sky centipede's poison, which had an extremely strong body-tempering effect, into the central region's volcano of the Shinong Cauldron. During that process, the large amounts of poison expelled from the sky centipede's venom by the Shinong alien flame had spread inside the central region volcano. Some of it had been absorbed by Shi Wanjin, becoming the energy and elements for his rebirth, body, and bloodline. One of them, this was just an example. In fact, there were many similar examples. It was all of these that created the current Shi Wanjin. After understanding all of this, Yixian couldn't help but shake his head and sigh. This was really fate making fools of people. He didn't expect that he would accidentally create such a powerful subordinate with a powerful poison physique. However, this was also a good thing. No matter how strong Shi Wanjin was, he wouldn't be a threat to Yixian. After all, he had already been subdued by Yixian's mutated slave seal before his rebirth. This had already been deeply imprinted on his soul. Deep in his soul, he wouldn't waver even if he faced the threat of death. Your path foundation was seized, and you were thrown here like a dead dog for several years. During this time, you were even poisoned once or twice by the impurities and toxins expelled by the Shinong unusual flame when it purified various resources. Even so, you didn't die. You even underwent a rebirth and woke up with a universe-grade cultivation base. I don't think anyone else has such a tough life. Yixian looked at Shi Wanjin strangely. He couldn't help but chuckle bitterly as he spoke. If he hadn't seen this with his own eyes, he probably wouldn't have believed it even if someone else told him about it. Forget it. Since you survived, it means that your life isn't meant to end. The grudges and entanglements between you and me have been completely erased with your rebirth. In the future, this you will never remember. Everything between you and my master will start from now on. A new beginning. In the end, Yixian shook his head. With a wave of his hand, he removed the mountain cage and allowed Shi Wanjin to walk out of it. Then, he threw out a small space box that contained some top-grade flesh medicine and cultivation resources. After all, Shi Wanjin's constitution was extremely extraordinary. His cultivation base started at the universe grade. Not only did his cultivation base improve quickly, but his future growth was also very promising. He was also very astonishingly loyal to no one else. Naturally, a large amount of top-grade cultivation resources had to be poured into nurture, such as subordinate. Although the universe grade isn't considered weak, it's still far from enough in this void. Take these cultivation resources and go to the mountains outside the central region's volcanoes. Find a cave abode and cultivate there. I hope you can step into the immortal state as soon as possible, or even become a marquis. Otherwise, this Star Master really doesn't have anything weaker than the immortal state. What's the use of it? After saying that, Yixian waved his hand again and sent Shi Wanjin, who was bowing to him, out of the central region's volcanoes. The interior space of this huge volcano wasn't something that anyone could enter easily. The central region at the bottom of the volcano was the core flame pool of the Farmer God Cauldron. There were also several super-large sealed caves below that stored all of Yixian's leaves. Yixian's most precious resources. The reason why he had placed the flying centipede, Old Freak Inji, Shi Wanjin, and the others inside was because the mountain cage restricted their movements. Now, there was no need for that. The interior space of the Farmer God Cauldron outside the central region's volcanoes had continuous mountain ranges. There were plenty of places to cultivate in seclusion. Chapter 4260. Boom! Moo! As soon as Yixian's figure rushed out of the atmosphere of the star under his feet and came to the outer space of the universe, an earth-shattering explosion suddenly came from the giant star, where Green Ox was in seclusion. Even the atmosphere of the star was affected by it. The star rolled up. It was followed by an incomparably high-pitched moo, which was the voice of the old Green Ox. The moo was filled with endless joy. Listening to the sound, it was not the feeling of the 7th level of Marquis Immortal. It was not even the 8th level of this realm, but the perfection of the 9th level. Yixian's eyes lit up instantly. If there was no accident, Green Ox should have made a breakthrough, and this was the second time. His cultivation strength had risen from the 7th level of Marquis Immortal before the seclusion to the 9th level of Marquis Immortal. After all, it had been more than 5 months. Before the seclusion, this old thing had been in the 7th level of Marquis Immortal for a long time. He was very close to breaking through to the 8th level of Marquis Immortal. In addition, Yixian gave him the light purple and gold flesh medicine. So he should have broken through to the 8th level of Marquis Immortal more than 4 months ago. Now, after more than 4 months, he broke through again and reached the 9th level of this realm. This earth-shattering move spread hundreds of millions of miles. The hundreds of life stars in the entire small space forbidden area were all alarmed. Figures rushed out of the atmosphere of the stars one after another. They were the higher-ups of the remnant tribe who had come out of seclusion, as well as the captives such as the 3-clawed flood dragon. There were dozens of immortal old monsters in the prisoner council. This included the 20 or so immortal-level ferocious beast leaders who had joined because of the Green Bull. After more than half a year of secluded cultivation, 7 or 8 of these immortal realm old monsters had broken through to the peak of the 9th level of the immortal realm with the help of a large amount of flesh and medicine, including the 3-clawed flood dragon. These 8 immortal old monsters only needed 1 level, 21 pill, to break through to the Marquis Immortal realm immediately. At that time, the battle strength of Yixian's army would be greatly improved. Its structure would also be more reasonable. Over 100 undying old monsters, 8 official level undyings, plus himself and Green Cow, the 2 Emperor level undyings. Just from the strength of the undying level and above, this was equivalent to a medium-sized forbidden space area. However, Yixian had only refined 2 level 21 pills. After using one, he only had 1 left. It was not suitable to give it to anyone. This gave him a headache. In addition, there were more than 20 universe-old monsters below the immortal rank who had broken through to the universe ninth perfection this time. Half of them were from the remnant powerhouses and the captive army. Xian still had more than 60 level 20 pills in his hands. He would be able to distribute them when he returned. At that time, there would be more than 20 immortal realm old monsters in his camp. Mu, before his subordinates, who had rushed out from the other 100 or so stars, could greet Xian, another earth-shattering moo sounded out from the giant star in front of them. The next moment, a huge figure rushed out from the inside of the planet. It was very fast, and its aura was very majestic, stirring up the atmosphere of the giant planet into chaos. The figure that charged out of the stars was the Green Ox. As soon as the old fellow charged out of the atmosphere and saw Xian's 30-meter-tall starry sky berserk ape, he immediately changed directions and charged over with his four hooves raised. He looked very excited and kept shouting, "Boss, it's so good to see you as soon as I come out of seclusion. Moo, I finally broke through to the 9th level of the Marquee Immortal Realm. Boss, where's the treasure pill you were talking about? Hurry up and give me one. I'll turn around and go into seclusion again. I'll become an Emperor Immortal and fulfill my wish." Moo. After he finished speaking, his figure had already arrived in front of Xian. His terrifying true body, which was originally hundreds of thousands of meters tall, had rapidly shrunk on the way here. Now, it had also shrunk to a height of 30 meters. He stood in front of Xian and pitifully looked at him. "Xiao." There was a faint sound of breaking through the air. Xian suddenly waved his hand, and a level 22 pill transformed into a light beam and shot out. Moo, seeing the treasure pill of his dreams appear and transform into a light beam and shoot towards him, Green Cow excitedly raised his head and roared again. After that, it opened its mouth and caught the light with its mouth, then stretched out its neck and swallowed it. This is bad. This old ox actually couldn't taste anything from this kind of precious pill. This is too wasteful. After the treasure pill entered his stomach, Green Cow was stunned on the spot. The surrounding undying old monsters and universe old monsters thought that something had gone wrong. When they heard him say such a sentence, they rolled their eyes and were almost struck by lightning on the spot. "Moo, boss, I'm going. When we meet again in a few days, I'll be conferred the title of king." Moo, moo, moo. Just as everyone was feeling depressed and speechless, the Green Ox suddenly twisted its fat head and turned around to charge towards the giant star that it had come from. Along the way, it let out incomparably excited moos. The long-cherished wish that it had dreamed of for many years was about to be realized, even if it was conferred the title of Marquis. Even if he was an undying, he couldn't suppress the excitement in his heart. Soon, Green Cow's figure once again entered the atmosphere of the giant star in front of him and disappeared. After the undying old monsters and universe old monsters in the void watched his figure disappear with envious expressions, they seemed to have thought of something. Almost at the same time, they all turned their heads to look at Xian. Their eyes were all green. Those who didn't know better would think that they had encountered a group of wolf demons. Among them, the green light in the eyes of the more than 29th stage old monsters and the 8 undying stage 9th stage old monsters led by the 3-clawed flood dragon were the most intense. This was because, like Green Cow, they had also reached the bottleneck of a large realm and urgently needed a treasure pill to break through to the next large realm. The only difference was that Green Cow wanted to break through to the undying stage, while they wanted to break through to the ordinary stage and the seal stage. It was only the Marquee undying stage. The treasure pills for breaking through to different large realms are different. There are more than 60 of them that are suitable for the old monsters of the universe. "You guys are lucky." Nodding, Xian waved his hand and sent out more than 20 level, 20 hydraulic compression pills. Each of the 20 or so universe 9th stage old monsters who were about to break through to the undying stage received one. Once the treasure pills that they had coveted for a long time were in their hands, all of them cheered. After thanking him profusely, they did not stay any longer. They turned around and left one after another. This was obviously the same as Green Cow. They were about to enter seclusion and break through to the next large realm. Chapter 4261. Yixian did indeed have a level 21 pill that could be used to break through to the marquee level, but he only had one. This level 21 pill was specially prepared for the flying centipede. The flying centipede was stronger than the three-clawed dragon by a small level, and he had been in closed-door training for a long time. If there were no accidents, he would probably come out in the next 2 days. When that time comes, Yixian would give him the level 21 pill to break through. Once he reached official level, even though the three-clawed dragon was on the same side and had long submitted to Yixian on one hand, this old man still didn't know the space berserk ape in front of him was Yixian. On the other hand, there were a total of 8 pinnacle undyings who had reached the peak of undying level 9 like him. No matter who Yixian gave this level 21 pill to, it wasn't appropriate. Such an important resource, one meant breaking through to official level. Even the most loyal of subordinates would have their own thoughts. The best way to deal with it was to leave the level 21 pill in his hand to the flying centipede. These 8 fellows in front of him, none of them would give it to him. In the next batch, he would be able to maximize their enthusiasm for conquering. Thinking of this, Yixian shook his head and sighed. He immediately spread out his hands. This king has only refined 2 pellets for breaking through to the marquee immortal realm. One of them was used by me back then, and the other one was used by the Green Ox. A pill for breaking through to emperor level. Not long ago, I added in some blood essence of ferocious beasts and various top-level treasures, leveling it up. The one green cow just swallowed was it. What? Did that cow swallow our precious pills? Damn it, this. The moment Yixian finished, the 8 pitiful pinnacle undyings around him were enraged. They all looked towards the huge star where Green Cow was in closed-door training, their faces filled with anger. However, when they thought about how that existence was at the pinnacle of the conferred marquee realm, an entire realm stronger than them, and if nothing unexpected happened, he would become a conferred king in a few days. The 8 peak undying beings immediately became listless and turned to look at Yixian. Come over. Boss, you can even make a pill for breaking through to emperor level so casually. This official level pill must be easy for you, why not? At this point, the three-clawed flood dragon was about to rub itself against Yixian's body. Its face was full of flattery as it said, "Why don't we refine another furnace? We'll be done very soon. It's just a small matter." Piss off. Yixian rolled his eyes on the spot. He spread out his hands and said, "Refining is simple, but without the materials, even a clever woman can't cook without rice." Could it be that you think this king has some kind of great divine ability to create something out of nothing? To make one official level pill, I need 5 blood essence of ferocious beasts. I need 5 immortal rank ferocious beast blood essences. 8 pellets means I need 40 immortal rank blood essences. I don't even have one right now. Where am I supposed to refine them? Hearing that the request was so simple, the three-clawed dragon became excited again. Boss, do you only need the blood essence condensed from the flesh and blood of immortal level ferocious beasts? Is it okay for early immortal level ferocious beasts? As long as they are immortal level, it doesn't matter if they are early or middle immortal level. 5 in total. Nodding his head, Yixian finally added, "Of course, the stronger the cultivation of the 5 blood essences of the fierce beasts, the better the quality of the treasured pills refined will be. If all of them are at the late stage of the immortal realm, then it would be safe. Oh, this king can guarantee. Then what are we waiting for? Let's do it. Find a forbidden area in space and kill them directly." After figuring out the situation, the three-clawed dragon's eyes shone with hope again. He said excitedly, "I'm already at peak level 9 of immortal level. What's the big deal about killing 5 mid or late immortal level ferocious beasts? Boss, let's go now." Hearing that, the other 7 peak immortal level old monsters also asked to go. Even the other 100 or so immortal level old monsters who hadn't reached peak level 9 of immortal level all did the same. Although they didn't need marquee level pills now, 5 blood essences condensed from the flesh and blood of ferocious beasts at the same level as them were not easy to get. It was necessary to save up in advance. In an instant, the battle intent of these 100 or so immortal-level old monsters was unprecedentedly aroused. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that they were all shouting as if they had been injected with chicken blood. This was the result that Xianxia wanted. He was very satisfied with it. However, it was obviously not the right time to go. Besides Green Ox, he still needed to make a breakthrough. Otherwise, once he rushed to Phoenix Bloodstar area, he would be courting death. We do need to go on an expedition soon, and the target is a medium-sized forbidden area in space where there are emperors. As he spoke, Xianxia waved his hand, turned around, and flew toward the life star he had come from. However, before we go, I need to make another breakthrough. The same goes for Green Ox. Be patient and wait for a few more days. As soon as he finished speaking, he had already passed through the atmosphere and entered the life star. With a wave of his hand, Xianxia set up an isolation array. Then, he took out the Farmer God Cauldron and stepped into the space inside the cauldron through the 9-colored fog. As soon as he entered the Farmer God Cauldron, he was greeted by 10 rays of light. Flying Centipede and the others had indeed come out of seclusion. After checking the cultivation aura of the 10 people, Xianxia was very satisfied. Old Monster Silver Pole had already broken through to level 4 of Immortal level, so he didn't need a level 21 pill for the time being. As expected, Flying Centipede had broken through to level 9 of Immortal level. In addition, the 8 Great Guardian Warriors had also successfully broken through to level 9 of Immortal level. It was time for them to take a level 20 pill. There was no doubt that after these 10 people completed another round of seclusion, Xianxia would have 1 more Marquis and 8 Ordinary Undying under his command. Furthermore, they would be his most loyal subordinates, which made him feel very gratified. Xiao, 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 with a wave of his hand, 9 small space boxes containing 1 level 21 pill and 8 level 20 pills were sent out by Xianxia. They landed in the hands of Flying Centipede and the 8 Great Guardian Warriors respectively. All right, you don't need to interfere in the recent expedition. Just focus on cultivating in the space inside the cauldron. When you reach the bottleneck of level 9 of Immortal level, come out of seclusion and apply to me for a pill to break through. Chapter 4262. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. With a wave of his hand, Xianxia retrieved a large amount of cultivation resources from his undying world. 10 drops of all evil elixir, 200 cubic meters of purple gold top-grade flesh medicine, as well as all sorts of top-grade treasured herbs and body temper materials. He even cut off a leg of a primordial creature's corpse from the sealed caves at the bottom of the volcano in the central region of the Farmer God Cauldron and roasted it with the Farmer God's 7-colored flames until golden oil dripped out. This leg was taken from the body of a powerful bird of the quasi-desolation level. Although it was only a small piece, it was still several hundred cubic meters in size. After being purified by the Shinnong's 7-colored flame and removing the impurities, there was still about 200 cubic meters left. Xianxia divided these 200 cubic meters into 2. One half was left at the bottom of the volcano, while the other half was taken out. At this moment, it was suspended in front of him along with the all-evil elixir and other top-grade cultivation resources. With a thought, the Farmer God Cauldron's domain was activated. These cultivation resources suspended in front of Xianxia were compressed in the blink of an eye, turning into a round ball the size of an infant's fist. Then Xianxia opened his mouth and swallowed it. Rolling into his stomach, boom! A loud explosion sounded out from within Xianxia's body. The ball that he swallowed instantly transformed into an incomparably majestic river of energy. It carried an aura that seemed to be able to destroy the heavens and earth as it surged within Xianxia's 4 limbs and 100 bones. It moved like a raging flood. An intense, stinging sensation came in the next instant. This time, it was too intense. Perhaps it was because of that small piece of flesh from a quasi-primordial bird, but the energy was extremely violent. Yi Xian sat cross-legged in the colorful fog at the mouth of the farmer god cauldron. Even the expression on his face had become hideous because of the pain. At this moment, the 1.08 billion pores on his body were all gushing with precious light. His entire person was like a god, blooming with a blinding brilliance that no one could look at directly. Whoosh! Walala! Inside the body, the clanging sound of the chains continued to be heard. At the same instant that this scorching energy river split open, Yi Xian's physical body treasure body had already been shaken due to his life potential being shaken, and two shackles of human body shackles appeared. The appearance of these two shackles caused Yi Xian to subconsciously heave a sigh of relief. The reason why he had specially roasted a small piece of the quasi-desolation level bird's flesh was because he was worried that if he didn't, the two shackles in his body wouldn't be triggered during this breakthrough. But now, everything had been settled. The only thing that needed to be done was to activate the scorching river of energy that was surging inside his body and tear apart the two shackles that had quietly appeared. Wah, walala, boom, rumble. From this moment on, Yi Xian's body treasure body seemed to be turned upside down. The clanging sound of the chains did not stop for even a second. Along with the clanging sound, there was also the loud, rumbling sound of the surging river of scorching energy shaking the two shackles. Time slowly passed by amidst this earth-shattering rumbling sound. Every second, Yi Xian was enduring endless pain. In the end, he was even numb to it, forgetting the existence of time. After an unknown period of time, when his consciousness gradually returned in the end, he noticed that the continuous rumbling in his body had actually disappeared. The incomparably scorching river of energy had long disappeared, and the two shackles that appeared during this breakthrough were no longer traceable. A wisp of clarity surged into Yi Xian's mind, and he was extremely happy. He knew that the breakthrough was complete, and what would appear next would be the long-awaited system notification sound. After this breakthrough, when all the cultivation resources were swallowed into his stomach, the potential in Yi Xian's body was shaken. What appeared in his body treasure body was still two shackles. Therefore, before the breakthrough was complete, Yi Xian already knew that this breakthrough would happen again. It was rare to see two consecutive breakthroughs. The expected second system notification sound was like a fairy's voice to his ears at this moment. Ding! Congratulations to the host for breaking through the realm of the ancient Dongshu tactics. Current realm. Marquee Immortal Level 9 Perfection. Ding! Congratulations to the host for breaking through the realm of the body chi and blood. Current realm. Marquee Immortal Level 9 Perfection. Marquee Immortal Level 9 Perfection. Before this, Yi Xian's original body had already reached the 7th order of the Marquee Immortal Realm. Once he activated the three-headed, six-armed ancient demon ape bloodline, his strength would soar to the 8th order of the Marquee Immortal Realm. If he used 9 transformation of demonic ape and reached the 6th transformation, he would instantly reach the 5th level of Emperor level. Emperor level 5 was the middle stage of this realm. This time, after his cultivation base experienced 2 consecutive breakthroughs, his original body advanced to the 9th stage of the Marquee Immortal Realm in one fell swoop. Once Yi Xian activated the Devil Ape bloodline in his body and entered the 6th transformation of the Devil Ape 9 transformations, he would be at the peak. His battle strength would instantly reach Emperor level 7, which was already Emperor level late stage. The extent of his battle strength increase was simply unimaginable, but this was clearly not the end. It could even be said that this time, Yi Xian's breakthrough was only the beginning. The previous 2 breakthroughs were all preparation for what was to come next. Next, he would consume the level 22 pill that he had just refined not long ago. Once everything went smoothly and the medicinal effects of this level 22 pill were completely refined, Yi Xian's level of life would rise once again. From then on, he would become an emperor. Xiao, without any hesitation or even any intention of resting. Yi Xian immediately waved his hand again. From the undying world within his body and the Shinnon cauldron beneath him, He took out the second batch of cultivation resources that he had already prepared, the other 100 cubic meters of quasi-desolate level bird treasure body meat. He roasted before breaking through. The 100 cubic meters of purple gold top-tier flesh medicine, 5 drops of all evil origin liquid, and various other top-tier resources. But this time, they were all body-strengthening type. Finally, and the most important, was the level 22 pill. The cauldron of level 22 pills he made before had a total of 3 pills. He gave one to Green Ox, so there were 2 left. The one Yixian took out was the best of the 3. Soon, the farmer god cauldron's domain was activated again. All the flesh medicine and other resources were compressed into a round bead the size of an infant's fist. Yixian opened his mouth and swallowed it first. Boom! A heaven-shaking rumble that was almost exactly the same as when he broke through sounded out. However, this time, Yixian's feelings weren't as painful as before. With a wave of his hand, he swallowed the level 22 pill floating in front of him. As soon as it entered his mouth, it turned into a clear stream that flowed down his throat. Chapter 4263. Hua la la. Within Yixian's body, the sounds of the chains clanging resounded. This time, the chains that appeared within his body were thicker than ever before, right before his chest, extending all the way to his abdomen. This thick chain represented the Emperor level. The moment it was torn apart, Yixian would instantly become an Emperor level undying. Before entering this ancient, desolate world fragment, the strongest warrior he had met was only an official level undying. However now, in a short 2 years, even he was about to become an Emperor level undying. Thinking about it all felt like a dream. This void fragment was indeed a true holy land for cultivation. Now that the king-conferred realm was about to arrive, it was absolutely impossible for Yixian to obtain the strongest battle prowess here. On the contrary, this was only the beginning. The true glory would begin after he broke through to Emperor level with a bang. With this kind of absolute determination, Yixian activated the great river of energy within his body. He forcefully endured the intense pain that he had never felt before and continuously charged for an entire day and night. In the end, a loud clang sound was heard. This was the thickest part of the breastbone within his treasure body. The strong shackles were finally broken. Rumble, rumble. Almost at the same time, in the void of the universe outside the planet with life under his feet, a large number of black tribulation clouds surged over in an instant. The number was so large that it made one's hair stand on end. It enveloped the entire planet, as if the original atmosphere had been covered again. The second layer was a black atmosphere. Of course, it was a semicircle, only in the space above his head. This was, after all, the Emperor-level calamity. Its power was naturally much stronger than before. It was natural for the clouds to be of such scale. Yixian stood up, waved his hand, and stored the Shinong cauldron into his body. With a single step, his figure instantly disappeared, and when he reappeared, he was already in a desolate space, tens of millions of kilometers away from this small, forbidden area. Right now, his cultivation base had already reached the titled Emperor realm. All he lacked was the baptism of the heavenly tribulation. However, he didn't dare to let the other subordinates in the space Forbidden Land fight with him. Otherwise, other than Green Bull, no one would be able to survive. As Yixian's figure moved, the terrifying tribulation cloud that originally enveloped the life star instantly dissipated. At this moment, a large amount of tribulation clouds began to appear in the air above him. Although the untainted land world had already collapsed into pieces, and the will of heaven and earth, which represented the heavenly Tao, was missing, the Dharma that governed the operation of all things had not changed. Even if this was an incomplete fragment of the void, the Dharma of the heavenly Tao was still there. The old laws were still operating on their own. Hence, the lightning punishment would definitely come. Locking onto Yixian, no matter where he ran, he couldn't avoid it. In fact, he didn't need to escape. Facing the lightning punishment that would make any cultivator's face change, Yixian didn't have the word escape in his dictionary. Roar! He raised his head and roared. At this moment, his hair fluttered in the wind, and the aura in his body was completely activated. His entire body was like a blazing human-shaped star, and within his body, endless treasure light was blooming, passing through the 1.08 billion pores on his body. It shot out crack, as if it was because it felt Yi Xian's provocation. The tribulation clouds in the sky instantly surged even more violently. In a short span of time, an incomparably thick purple-gold lightning bolt smashed down. Raidi seal, Yi Xian called out softly. With a wave of his hand, the Raidi seal that was suspended above his sea of consciousness shot out and hovered above his head. However, there was a strand of qi concealing it, preventing it from being seen by the experts of the captive armies from the 3 main planes of space. In that case, Yi Xian's identity would be exposed in an instant. Screech, with the appearance of the Raidi seal, an incomparably high-pitched screech resounded from within the Emperor's seal. This was the thunder spirit of the Emperor's seal cheering. To it, this kind of king-conferring tribulation was the best opportunity to temper itself. Back then, the thunder sparrow that was refined into a thunder spirit was only at the 3rd level of the immortal realm. But now, because of the nourishment of the Raidi seal, it had already broken through to the 9th level of the immortal realm. The lightning tribulation this time wasn't only Yi Xian's fortuitous encounter, it was also its fortuitous encounter. After the baptism of the lightning tribulation, the Thunder Emperor seal would become even more powerful, and the thunder spirit of the Emperor seal would most likely break through to the marquee immortal realm. At this moment, the thunder spirit's cheers were clearly filled with excitement and excitement. It had long been unable to hold back and wanted to rush out. It was impossible for Yi Xian to allow this, because if that happened, then his identity would be exposed as well. Obediently wait in the Emperor's seal. There should be 3 waves of purple gold lightning in the king, conferring tribulation. This Star Master only needs the last wave. The first 2 waves will be left to you and the Emperor's seal. Slightly raising his head, Yi Xian spoke. Listening to the content of his words, it seemed that he was actually distributing the 3 waves of lightning tribulation above his head, as if he was distributing important resources. Before he finished speaking, the first wave of purple gold lightning had already struck down. Although it fell towards Yi Xian's head, not a single bit of it leaked out. It was all absorbed by the Raidi seal. Screech! In an instant, the thunder spirit's cheers came from the Emperor's seal once again. At this time, a second loud cracking sound came from the sky above his head. A purple gold lightning bolt that was thicker than the previous one, reaching 100 feet in length, instantly pounced over. This time, Yi Xian still didn't make any movements. With his hands behind his back, he allowed the Raidi seal above his head to absorb the second bolt of lightning. Almost in the next moment, an even more cheerful and tyrannical howl came from the Emperor's seal, emitting a dense aura of a conferred marquis. The Emperor's seal's thunder spirit had finally broken through. Count yourself lucky. Curling his lips, Yi Xian waved his hand and directly kept the Raidi seal into his body. Once again, it floated above the sea of consciousness in his mind. Immediately after, he raised his head and looked up into the sky. Crack! The last wave of tribulation lightning was even more terrifying. It was still purple gold in color, but its diameter had reached 3,000 meters. Compared to it, Yi Xian's human body was like an ant. Roar! With a furious roar, Yi Xian did not dodge in the face of this most powerful wave of tribulation lightning. Instead, his figure shot forward with a wild roar, and in the blink of an eye, he disappeared into the tribulation lightning and was completely submerged. Boom! Rumble! The terrifying explosions continued without end. From this moment onwards, the vast expanse of space within a radius of millions of kilometers was enveloped by the sea of purple gold lightning. Even the void trembled slightly, as if it could collapse at any moment. The lightning wreaked havoc for 3 breaths of time. In the end, the entire vast sea of lightning, along with the endless tribulation clouds in the sky, disappeared completely in less than half a breath of time.